I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press. I ain't coming for no foolishness. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press. I ain't coming for no foolishness. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press. I ain't coming for no foolishness.
Peace, 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 family, peace, family. Let me turn this thing down. Peace, family. Poor City Vibes coming right black at y'all with his African history, culture, and greatness. I really hope all you guys are doing all right out there. If you guys have not heard, tomorrow is the motherfucking day we officially push shit in. You guys have been waiting long. You guys have been really, really patient. I appreciate the audience that we have developed over the last couple of months, man. You guys are really, 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 really supportive. You know, shout out to the Death Row Adjustment Syndicate. Shout out to Suitin. You're not here right now, but shout out to you, my brother. But today is Mo's day, man. We're gonna celebrate him and his book coming out. He is in the green room right now, and he's just gonna discuss a little bit about his book. So go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and do that. If you guys are just now coming in, you guys are all welcome. Come on in. The water is warm. I want to make sure you guys come on in and hit that like. Go ahead and get the likes up for my brother Mo. He is in the studio in the green room waiting right now. Yeah, so peace, everybody. Just to catch you up, man. We had a live yesterday with Beef for All. Shout out to Beef for All. that was interesting. I think a lot of people got a lot of shit out. And if you guys want to see us talk about that particular live, go ahead and look at the last video I just posted. And I think Natural posted some video about it. So we might go ahead and look at it later. But without further ado, let me go ahead and bring to the show my brother MoFactz. Everybody know him on TikTok as Agent Push for pushing people shit in. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
You hear me?
You good? You are in the building, brother. What's happening?
Okay, now I gotta get it.
What's happening?
For some reason, your audio went down as soon as I got in. Let me see. Say something again.
Can you hear me? Testing one, check one.
Okay, I did that.
Okay.
All right.
What's happening, man? You busy man, bro?
Oh yeah, man. But hey, after the 22nd, I'm taking a break.
I know, right?
I'm taking a break. You know, I'm still gonna be doing a little something here and there. I'm gonna take a little vacation or something, man.
I feel you, man. I think it's much needed.
Definitely. But hey, it don't stop with this knowledge. Knowledge is the most important thing in the universe. Knowing, you know what I'm saying? And when you get in there, you got responsibilities, man. We know what we know. We can't just be sitting back looking at people like, if they only knew. We got to step up and say something, you know? So it happens. But for anybody that does get involved in this, I recommend everybody, you, Port, Suiton, Vanta, and anybody else that ever does this in the future, make sure you take a break. Because this shit will get to you. You gotta make sure you take a break.
I'm realizing that. I'm realizing that, Nick. I'm realizing that, my brother. I like shit. I gotta chill, because it will take over your whole shit, especially if you devoted to the information and devoted to being truthful about the information. It will consume you. So yeah, go ahead and take a break. Everybody need to take a break after the 22nd for maybe a week or two, and then I'm coming back though.
Peace, Lily, and everybody else in the chat. Make sure y'all share this. If you see some people on YouTube,
TikTok, real quick, Mo. Hold on. Can everybody hear us? Lily, we can't hear. Can you hear both of us? I got to make sure there's audio good with both of us. Check one, check two. Can you hear me on my end? Hit a one in the chat. I need to know real quick because we live.
Good, we good.
Are we good? Are we good? We can hear you. All right, good. Proceed, my brother. Hold on real quick. Can you tell the family, for those who do not know, what's the name of the book?
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was about to get into. But first, if y'all see anybody on TikTok over there, you know, taking hits and tweaking and shit, tell them come on over here and get some edification real quick, and then they can go back to TikTok. TikTok is not going nowhere. Like, come over here and get some of this work. And the title of the book is Abrahamic Faith and Fear: Unraveling the Unknown Historical Development of Abrahamic Religion, of modern religion. So this book is basically breaking down the development of Abrahamic religions, and this is not excluding Judaism and Islam. It's Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, respectively. Islam, because in that order, you can't deny it. You can't just go, oh, that's Christianity. And no, we need to talk about Islam and the things that came before Islam. I mean, Judaism and the things that came before Judaism, to understand where Christianity came from and where Islam came from. Wow. So that's the title of the book. And it's not only dealing with religious history, but it's also going into the psychological effects that are happening, not only within the congregations, the conversations amongst people in modern times, but how it has affected us in surviving in this environment that we're in. Like, it's messing with our survival, literally. So it's doing both. It's two things. It's giving you history and a bit of psychology. But what we're going to get into today, first, I'm going to show you guys, if you're ready, Port, I'm going to show them that this is still in progress. The proofing is in progress. And this is just for, you know, the loyal people who was rocking with me from when I first started the pre-order, just to let y'all know this is a real thing going on.
Roger that. Y'all getting an exclusive on my man's book right now. This is never before seen information that my man got on his book. And he's taking the time to come out here to present that. So yeah, brother, whenever you're ready to share
Yeah,
your
I'm gonna show them this
screen.
proofread first,
Mhm.
that is still pending, and then I'm gonna come back down and I'm gonna share. Damn, how do I do that? How am I going to do this? I think I got to take this and put it in another tab because yeah, and then I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna go through a chapter, just one chapter.
So let me get this straight. You get, I guess in this book you cover just Islamic religion as well.
Yeah, I go through it briefly. I'm going to get more into Islam on probably part 3.
Okay.
But right now we're in the beginning stages, like Judaism leading into Yahwism, Sumerian text, Egyptian text. This is leading into the build of Judaism, the first book. The second book is going to go deeper into Judaism and then transition into Christianity, and then the third and fourth is going to go into Islam, and then what we're left with today, like the new age version of the shit that's going on.
That's pretty deep, man. I'm excited to get my copy. Everybody, I ordered mine. I don't know about y'all.
Gotta get it.
I'm ready to receive my copy. Yo, I'm excited about it. I got a couple other books, by the way, that Mo has recommended to me to read as well. This brother's really well read when it comes to biblical studies. I gotta give credit where credit is due.
Facts. Okay, let me get this window open. I'm trying to make sure my personal information is out the way.
Yeah, don't do that because you got a lot of haters.
I
would love to find
out and share the screen quick as a bitch. I was like, yeah. Man. All right, hold on. Here we go. Let me see.
That shit better say Agent Push.
Let me make sure we crazy train out here. No, it's not going. Is it gonna let me do it? Think we good. All right, I trust y'all anyway. It ain't too many people at this point, so we should be straight. All right, you see it on there?
Okay, yep. All right, I'm gonna share your screen. Let me stop my camera. I don't like nobody looking. This your day, yo. We gonna look at you. All right, there we go. Is that you good?
Editing in progress. You will receive an email when your files are available for download. So that's what they're doing right now. They told me a week, and then that's how I came up with the date of April 17th. So I added a week and then added another week just in case, and they still didn't do it, finish it in time. So that's right there. There goes the sales order number and everything like that. So that is definitely in progress, y'all. Don't feel bad about it. You invested in something very good. And mind you, like, this is something that was crazy that happened. The amount of money that y'all did with the pre-order was almost exactly how much I needed to put down for the book. So it's kind of like you paid for it. You see what I'm saying? It's like that same amount. So that's why I decided to make sure I keep up with y'all with that one, because they jumped on it quick. We were talking about indigenous stuff and all this other crazy stuff, and the book was sitting there hovering at the same time. So I'm like, I know they like, man, what are we doing with this damn book? But shit happens, you know. We had to spin a different block, but we about to be back in a few days. You know, we're going to bring both things into the fold, because this history is not supposed to be personal anyway. Shit happened, you know, it got a little too personal. We got overly aggressive, but we did make sure we kept it educational, and we will continue to keep it educational. And now that we have experienced this and what can come from the negativity of you know, the disputes in our community, we're going to try to keep it even more educational. Once we smell it coming, we'll be like, all right, you know what? Let's just do a presentation. Okay?
Yeah, we're gonna keep it classy over here. Hey, I don't know if I asked you this, brother. How long did it take you to, like, I guess, start to finish from having the idea of writing a book, right, into the due process of actually putting pen to the pad kind of thing?
Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. That's actually a good question, because I actually quit. I stopped. I was writing it back in 2000. What was it? 2000, like 11, 12. Like, I started it at that point, and then I stopped. I was like, man, like, everybody, I was in that mode of everybody has their own path. You know, I was outer space with it. I was like elevated above my means. I was like, yeah, everybody's going to find out on their own. If their consciousness is not there, then they don't get it. They're probably not chosen. And I was still using the indoctrination type of special mindset. And my bad, yeah, I gotta go take my retainer out. I forgot. So I'm going to the top of this chapter, but yeah, I stopped. And where we starting at? Okay, background check on God. Yeah, so I stopped, and then I picked it up when I seen that people were, forcing religion on my children, because it got to the point where I started letting them have devices and get on social media and stuff like that. And they're on, YouTube, and what did they have at the time? Vine, and the little chat rooms and groups. You could be playing like Roblox, and you could turn your mic on and talk to people and stuff like that. And it's like adults and teenagers and stuff in there talking to me. You believe in God, and but Jesus wants you to know, and he just told me, and I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck? Who is that talking?
We're Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints while you're playing motherfucking Fortnite.
Like, yo, what is that? Damn. Oh, that's the person I'm playing the game. I said, man, hold up. It's like, yeah, people do that all the time. I said, so this is what they doing, and that was in like 2018. So I said, I went into my little boxes. I got all my hard drives. I was like, man, where is that book that I was about to start writing? Yeah. I'm about to go get that book out. And because I was going into health at that point, I was like, I'm gonna just write books about health, exercise, and stuff like that. Learning your brain, the heart, stomach, skin, melanin, all of that type. That's what I was going to get into, just to keep that in our community, because our health is very important. So I got the book out. I was like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and continue this. I got my notes and everything. Some of it was lost, but I had it still in my memory. I knew the whole thing was like laid out in my head. So I just had to get the research material and everything back and organize it. So from 2008, I had a few, bad situations that happened in my family, and stuff. So there was like little breaks in between. But yeah, from 2008, that's when I picked it back up. And then from there, I guess in the last 2 years, I was able to actually focus on it. And that's when I ran into TikTok. What's going on this TikTok? What is going on here? I said, you know what? Instead of getting up here doing pranks and stuff, because I started doing a little bit of pranks and skits and all that.
You were doing the dance shit too, weren't you?
Yeah, I started seeing that they pushing these ideologies and all this stuff up there, and they ain't twerking and doing pranks and dancing and cooking and all that stuff. I said, man, hold up. I'm about to start this. I started a new page. I got up there and I said, yo, this right here. And this is for all of the people on TikTok who kept saying, I told y'all the A train. Yeah, I'm calling you out. You tried to act like, oh, he's promoting a book. I told you at the end of all of this, he's going to promote a book. In the very first video I posted on the MoFactz channel, I said, yo, I'm starting this channel, and this is all going to lead up to my book. But since I'm not in school for these things, I want to show you guys, since there's pastors, priests, theologians, and everybody up here, I'm going to go head to head with these people and show you that I can stand up with them and that I know what I'm talking about. And I've never taken an L. So
hold on real quick. That right there, what you just said, man, that integrity that you got, bro, that, like, I heard that shit yesterday in the live, because I guess was it Natural Wife? You know how she gets into discussion sometimes, but you was like, yo, I do take it personal, because it's my penmanship, and I got to defend what I write, pretty much. Correct. And I'm like, that's some cold-blooded shit. Like, fuck what you say. Yeah, I'm taking it personal. I got to defend the scholarship on it. I got to defend what I wrote down, and I don't blame you for coming that way. That was pretty clear in that. I think a lot of people need to understand that. You got to understand. You got to keep your integrity. Yeah,
correct. And as we're about to see, as we go through this chapter, it is very important. The word of man is very important. It's the closest thing we got to a word of God. We don't have no gods. There is no God here. I don't know if y'all met him or met him, her, whatever it is. There's no contact here. You know what I'm saying? All we have is man's word. And when your man's word is messed up, it can cause a lot of problems. So that is why I had to defend that. Yeah, and so salute for catching that. A lot of people weren't catching it because I think they were there for entertainment.
Yeah,
they didn't see that I admitted. I was like, yeah, part of that is my ego, because we're still males and competitive. We're human, right? But then I'm like, yo, I teach all the time, and I got a book being published and more to come. So you can't just saying stuff like that.
Yeah, I dig it. I totally. I rewatched it, because I was trying to come up with questions to ask you, and I'm like, damn, that really stuck out. There was a lot said yesterday, but when you was like, I do take it personal. Like, I wrote some stuff in my, your penmanship is on the line, and people are going to look at these debates and they're going to look at these chats and they're going to hold you. You're going to put your feet to the fire. So, I mean, you got to be able to come out swinging when somebody puts you in a corner, especially scholastically speaking. That's what's up. That's what's
all right. Entertain them for a second, y'all. I'm about to go put my retainer away and everything, and I'll be right back.
Facts. Yeah, family. If you guys are just now coming into the live, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Right now, we got MoFactz in right now. He is discussing his book right now. This is like one of those exclusives. Yes, Sudin, I stole the interview from you, my brother. But now you're gonna get the real interview. The interview. This is to show my brother some support, y'all. This dude really worked hard on trying to get the information in that book out. He's gonna actually share a little bit of the information so you can kind of grasp exactly what he's talking about. And he's gonna make some rounds. He's coming over here to my channel, and then he's gonna probably go to Sudin's channel as well and make some rounds. Everybody support Sudin and support Vanta. We all was in the building yesterday. We had a really healthy discussion about DNA. If you guys have not looked at that video, go ahead and look at that video. Shout out to Mr. Robinson who hung out with us all yesterday, pretty much felt like, and he struck a good point with the slavevoyages.org site. If you guys have not watched that video, y'all got to go ahead and catch this jump and watch it back. That was really, really good with the information I think that was presented a little bit later on. And then shout out to Van too. But what's up, man? We got my boy MoFactz in the house. The celebration, bitches. It's on. If y'all have not pre-ordered that book, somebody drop the link in the chat so I can put it up.
UTU textbook.
Put that in there and I'll post it. Lily's really good with helping with that.
All right. And April 22nd, y'all. Please, it's coming. It's right here. It's right around the corner. I don't even know how I'm gonna go to sleep.
That's going to sleep.
I don't know how I'm going to sleep, but I'm gonna try because I know I'm
surrounded by fucking books.
Right.
I wake up early. So yeah. And then I'm trying to package, like, I'm in my mind. I'm like, I want to I'm all about being potent with the shit, so I don't want to like drag y'all out. But I want every detail to be hot and fiery. So y'all gonna get a lot from us, man. We really worked hard on just gathering information. So you guys do that. Lily got the is that it right there? I always fuck that name up.
UTU. Yep. UTU textbook.
So if you guys
I don't know if it's an S. Is it an S?
I thought it was an S.
There's no S, Lily.
All right, so we gotta take that down.
Yeah.
Do it without the S, y'all. Do it without the S. Everybody, give my man some support. Like I said, we've been got this book way back.
Make sure if you go to this site, do not get the cover art. There's a cover art that's up there for $126. That's something that I'm doing with cryptocurrency for my cover art. So don't buy that. The hardcover and paperback book is what you want to focus on. Don't focus on cover art. That's for something else. All right.
Yep, that's it right there, y'all. I got it up. My bad. Are you wanting to share your screen, brother?
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull you up. Beam me up, Scotty.
Let me know when I'm up and we can get it going.
There you go.
Let me bring this mic down a little bit too.
I'll go on mute. You got full autonomy, my brother. Go for it.
All right. Are we good? Because I'm going to be facing forward, but I got my mic right here to the side.
Can everybody hear my brother? Give me a 1 in the chat. Give me like 1 feather in the chat if y'all can hear me. Give me a feather or a 1.
I prefer feathers.
Yeah, we love those. We rocking those over here too. Especially the African feathers.
This ain't gonna ever stop.
Especially those. Y'all ain't saying shit in the chat. Can y'all hear us? Come on, people. Speak. I think they can hear you because they would have said something if they hadn't.
All right, we must be good. We must be good. All right.
Go ahead,
So
bro.
this chapter right here is called, a matter of fact, no, I'm gonna just stay right here. Okay, so this is called the background check on God. I think I'm gonna turn the mic down a little bit. For the readers who hold true to any ideology derived from the Abrahamic religions, the same consideration from neutral parties and non-believers that lead to countless wars and misuse of authority over the course of thousands of years and counting should be reciprocated, as the intent of a student of life or non-believer was never to manipulate writings, history, laws, and ultimately the progressive flow of civilization to push a religious agenda. And that simply means that the same way that we are trying to get to the truth, we're trying to figure out what's going on, the same way they push it, you have to meet it with the same type of energy. They're going around fighting demons and coming up with these stories, and they're talking to gods and all that stuff, and they're, slaughtering people, they're abusing people, they're putting people on house arrest, they're cutting tongues out the mouth, putting torture devices on people. You don't even have to do all of that, but you do need to return the favor and hold up the scrutiny. You need to scrutinize, you need to investigate. You don't give up when someone is doing something bad just because they're bigger, they're stronger. That's cool. You're supposed to be fearless for the people who lost their life, and for the many minorities who are still to this day wasting their time running around on this hamster wheel. Okay, so the fight is greater than just you yourself. And that's what brought me back to writing this book, because I was in myself at first. I was like, I'm good, I'm straight. But there's other people who you'll never meet them in life, and they may be able to pick up this book and it may help them, right? So the information gathered thus far on the origins of the Abrahamic deity is not intended to find the proper name or approve one religion over the next. So that's not what this is about. When I go through the history of the Abrahamic deities, we're not trying to figure out which one was real. Keep that in mind. I'm simply showing you what happened throughout history and how it leads up to what we have now today in its present form. It's not, oh, that one must have been real. Oh, well, the Sumerian ones were real. Oh, no, it's the Kenite. No, I'm just showing you transition, over time, transformation, morphology, and all of that stuff with language, concepts, constructs. Okay, the aim is to reveal the undeniable development of concepts that people in modern times believe maintain the same format from the beginning of the written religious history. So people think that this stuff has been the same since the beginning of time. That's why we got to run through it. That's why I called it the historical development of modern religion, because they think it's the same. It's like, this is the same word. This is not the same word. And we still have evidence on stone, on papyrus, oral traditions that these stories are not the same as they were a long time ago. So the impossible, which is what is going to be performed when I say the background check on God. It's impossible, but we're going to do it anyway because it's kind of entertainment, right? But you're going to get my drift in a second. In order to do a background check on anyone, you have to know their identity, right? Psychologically, people tend to associate good with whoever or whatever their God is, especially when comparing the different faiths of Abrahamic religions. In this instance, good is not good enough. If God was good and good only, and all that opposed him was bad, that would be a very short story. Instead, there are a plethora of claims alluding to the actions of these gods throughout history, one of which is creating everything, including existence itself. Now, that right there, I don't know how people fall for it, because even as a child, I didn't fall for that. I just could not get how you can create existence and you exist. But some things just don't click in people's heads, because psychologically, we're going through things in the physical world, spiritually, mentally, whatever you want to call it. We're going through things, and it's like you need something to hold on to. You don't have time for who is this person that's reaching out to help me out of my rut? Who's helping me out of my rut? You don't really look at them. You don't look at what's on their waist or what it says on their badge or their name tag or anything. You don't see that. You're just like, help me out of this well or this grave. Get me out of there. Not knowing it may have been better for you to get yourself out of it, even if you had to suffer longer, right? That person that gets you out could take you to a whole nother hell. You see, and these are the little traps that you don't see as it's leading up to them, indoctrinating you. So one of which is is creating everything, including existence itself. You can't, if you exist, how do you create existence? Okay. A more in-depth dissection of those claims will be attended to later in this chapter. As for who, the short answer is there is no and this is important, there is no irrefutable proof that anyone knows who or what is behind the existence of reality and all its contents. That's the simple answer to this whole thing. But unfortunately, we're in a different situation where people have been believing this for hundreds of years. So we got to go deeper into this. We got to put it under the microscope. Furthermore, speaking on the intentions of a being that only exists in the realm of faith alludes to personal biases. You got to believe, brother. You have to believe, sister. Pay attention to those words when people say, well, you got to believe. You got to believe. That doesn't make it real, though. Some ask, and this is the question we hear all the time, and some of y'all have seen this in the conversations that we had. This is why I needed to make sure I had a presence online with these people, because when I say these things in the book, now you can see, yep, I heard somebody say that. Some ask if non-believers can accept the possibility that a God is real and only making itself known to who it chooses, right? The same can be said and this is when they're dealing with the Holy Spirit and God will reveal himself to you in time. You have to do it this way. You got to pray that way and all that stuff. It's this little personal thing. The same can be said for any possibilities, such as a God being found who does not have favorites. So we have two things here, that a God will reveal himself to you whenever he wants to in due time or whatever, right? Nobody has to see it. It's always you're alone by yourself on the toilet behind a tree under a rock, right? And then you have this other possibility that God has favorites, right? Now, our parents can have favorites, right? A grandparent can have favorites. Your friends can have favorites, right? You can have your favorite food, but because you exist, I can confirm with you what your favorite food is. You can go ask your parents, oh, am I your favorite? You can ask your grandparents, who's your favorite grandchild, right? You can ask your friends, like, yo, who's the favorite out of all of us? You can ask. We can't ask this God, right? So on that possibility, we still need to account for the God's absence to the public. The chances that someone has discovered it and is working against the masses to keep the creator a secret is slim to none. That it is slim to none that someone actually has met the creator and they're all just keeping this a secret. So isn't it with that gatekeeping stuff that everybody's doing? It's highly unlikely that all of these people really met the real creator and they're like, do it this way, do it that way. No, it's this one. And you're sitting there with thousands of different lanes and it's like, which one is it? It's none of them. Both possibilities have an invisible God that interacts with a man, and whether or not it wants to be known to all matters not when the horse's mouth is actually a human mouth or man-made literature. So this always goes back to a human being. There is, in fact, an account in the Bible, in the biblical storyline of Moses, where God writes 2 tablets of testimony on stone. Unfortunately, Moses, in a fit of rage, broke the tablets by accident when he seen the Israelites acting in an ungodly manner as he descended from Mount Sinai. For reasons unknown, instead of putting them back together, he eventually wrote the tablets in his own hand, even after God promised to rewrite them himself as he did the first time. And this, let me give y'all the reference real quick. That's in Exodus 34, where that was stated. And let's get back to it. As for the anecdotal claims, well, that's what they are and what they will always be for all extraordinary claims found in just about every culture around the world. Therefore, that what remains are the claims of men and women who thus far are the only source we have for the existence of the gods they speak of. In the account of Moses, more credible. Hold on, my bad. Is the account of Moses more credible than the anecdotal of the living? Remember, the account of Moses was made by a person who is no longer alive, right? Is it more credible than the anecdotal of a living person? So that person can say that Moses had talked to God. And then a person walking today can say, hey, I talked to God. What is the difference here? Like somehow we just get lost in translation. There is no difference. Like, which one is more credible? They're both just stating something and you have no way to confirm it. With all things considered, any conclusions made against or in accord to the claims of humans can be attributed to who? Humans. They're always attributed to a human being because we have no God to go and talk to, no angels, no demons, nothing, right? As to the possibility of an actual creator aside from the versions described by man thus far, that remains a mystery, and that is very important. This is not about saying that it's just it's nothing exists but the universe and all that stuff. The possibilities are still there. We just have to tend to where people are lying, just like you see us do with our debates, and people get up there and go, so you're saying that there was nobody in America? We're telling you that I don't have no evidence. We don't have any evidence as to these stories that people are saying, and we want evidence. Speaking of which, primary evidence. Primary evidence. What is primary evidence? Primary evidence. Evidence such as the original of a document that by in nature does not suggest the existence of better evidence. See best evidence rule, secondary evidence. And I'm going to keep going through this, but when I go down, I'm going to stop at the footnotes because I want to keep scrolling up and down. I got my sources at the bottom of the page. So primary evidence, as you can see here, is evidence where there's nothing else that can be better than that evidence, right? So the primary evidence wouldn't be Moses if Moses even existed. It wouldn't be Joshua. It wouldn't be Obadiah. It wouldn't be Zephaniah. It wouldn't be none of these people, Jacob, Abraham. They wouldn't be primary evidence. The primary evidence would be the angel or who they refer to, or it would be the actual God. That's the primary evidence. You see? So secondary and see secondary evidence. Okay, so and now for the primary evidence in regards to the God, it's not applicable, right? It's not applicable. It's not available at all. There is not a shred of primary evidence for the existence of any Abrahamic gods. None whatsoever. Even when considering religious texts, the originals were lost while still in the phases of oral tradition, and that is very important. The originals were lost while still in the phases of oral traditions. These people were still in the middle of oral traditions, and people were writing down things and copying things and carving into stone, and they were still developing oral traditions. That's why oral traditions are different from Africa, the Jews that got converted over there to Ethiopia, I'll say West Africa, North Africa, and then into the Mediterranean Levant area. Those areas are all different. They have different oral traditions. How did that happen? Because people started writing texts and passing around the oral traditions before it was even completed. It's not complete. Plus, we have the telephone game that we're going to get into later. So even when considering religious texts, the originals were lost while still in the phases of oral traditions, leaving it impossible for any written record to be a primary source for religious literature, let alone a primary source for the existence of any Abrahamic gods. In the field of science, the two conclusions are: the existence of any god or gods is unknown. 2, God or gods have no tangible evidence concerning their existence. It's none. Uncoincidentally, the above statements are what an atheistic stance truly represents before atheists are met with fictitious threats and discrimination. And this is important. I had to put this side note in here because we see this happen all the time. Even for people who are not necessarily atheists, they're trying to deconstruct, or they're just in the middle and they're just trying to figure things out. We see them discriminated against, and they're threatened. So then they catch, like I said right here, the flack atheists receive for submitting to their natural scientific minds triggers emotional reactions that lead to atheists speaking out of character. So sometimes people get out of character, they get disrespectful, they may run back to Islam, even though a Christian was they left it, and then they ran into a Christian that was treating them so bad. They was like, man, I'd rather just be with these people. So we got to make sure, even if you still have a belief, try to put some type of education in here. Try to make sense. Try to update this stuff. Talk to your leaders and say, look, we got to take some things out. This stuff is not right. Like, why are we speaking in the name of this God? We know, like, let's stick to the basics. Don't steal, don't kill. Let's help the poor. Let's get things done and actually start doing shit. Let's stop reading books and getting on our knees. Let's get stuff done, because we're creating war amongst each other and we're all in the same fucking ball. This is weird. And it's all over these gods, right? And like I said, let the gods fight their own goddamn battle. If you really believe in them and you trust them, let them fight themselves. Let Allah fight Jesus, and Jesus fight God, and God fight Elohim and all that other crazy shit. We got other shit to deal with. So these emotional reactions from atheists does not take away from the truth they provide pertaining to the absence of evidence for damn, I got a typo right here. For any deity ever spoken, my bad, y'all. That's what they're working on now. Pertaining to the absence of evidence for the deity, for I think it was any. My bad, y'all. Y'all seeing this shit live too. That's how y'all know it's real. For any deity. Oh, it's that's what I'm missing right here. For any deity ever spoken of by humans. Okay. Secondary evidence. What is secondary evidence? Secondary evidence, evidence that by its nature suggests existence of better evidence. Example, a copy of a document. So if we have a copy of something, then there must be an original. So when we're talking about maybe court records or a birth certificate, you could do stuff like that because there's an original, there's a copy. They got one in the computer from when you were first born. Your mom has one. So when we're talking about God, we don't need copies. You can't, it's not safe to have a copy with God because there's too many claims. There's killing and murder this person and these people are my favorite. We can't just use copies. We need the original to pull up. I don't care what man wrote. You got to really you said wipe out all those people, sir. You drowned everybody, sir. Somebody got to come and back that up. Because what we're looking at right now is science and cycles of nature. We're looking at nature right here. So it sounds like someone is lying or creating another character. If there is something that exists, people could be lying on it. And we're looking, the floods are happening. This happens. It's never flooded the entire earth, but we see local floods and people underwater and civilizations underwater, earthquakes and volcanoes and all that shit. And the earth has its cycles to the point we can say, hey, everybody evacuate. You know how we have saved billions since we've learned the cycles of the earth. Everybody, let's go. Back then, people were like, oh no, what have we done? It was because you guys were adulterous. They didn't know to get out the way. They didn't see the signs. They were talking to a God and they should have been running with the animals, right? So the sources used to attempt this impossible background check on the extraordinary claims made by humans in relation to the Abrahamic gods are ironically boomerang back to the very humans who made the initial claims. In all honesty, the information pertaining to other humans and events that may have occurred would be secondary evidence when a completely different being that lives in its own world, pay attention to this closely, when a completely different being that lives in its own world is brought into the sequence of events, this can technically be considered secondary evidence, but in all actuality can be rendered as tertiary evidence. And what is tertiary evidence? Check this out and tell me if you don't think that this sounds like biblical literature. What is tertiary evidence? These are sources that index, abstract, organize, compile, or digest other sources. Some reference materials and textbooks are considered tertiary sources when their chief purpose is to list, summarize, or simply repackage ideas, other information. Tertiary sources are usually not credited to a particular author. Hold on, y'all. I guess they still cutting the grass. Did y'all hear that? Port. I don't know if he's still there. Hold on, y'all. I gotta make sure this guy's done. I don't know where Port went at. Am I still on? It says stream. Hold on. He might not be there. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me go make sure he's done. And I got to get some water. We're gonna break right there. Hold on.
Trying to get his video quiet down. I think he's got some outside noise. Someone's cutting the grass. I know all about that. Right now, my studio is compromised with people cutting the grass too. But yeah, family, again, go ahead and hit the like button if you guys are just now coming in for the first time. We are having a sit down with MoFactz. He is discussing his book for the family right now. Talking about a lot of stuff right now on the table. I like the way he talked about what was it? Creating existence when you already exist. Like, damn, that is deep. If you look at it, how can you create something if you already here? If you already existed, how can you create existence? That is pretty deep. Yeah, that is pretty deep. But yeah, he's making sure his studio ain't getting no outside noise. He should be coming back.
All right, y'all.
You
I'm back.
good?
My bad.
No, you good, man.
Heard that. I gotta check the comments. I had to get some water. Did y'all? I don't know if y'all heard that lawnmower. I think he's done now for real. I think he was just trimming the sides up a little bit. So
I don't think I heard it. You're good to go.
I'm gonna get back to it. All right, so we're at what? Tertiary sources are usually not credited to a particular author, and this is the same thing we see with the Bible, right? We see, I can use my mouse. I was about to point at the screen. Index, abstract, organize, compile, digest, other sources, reference materials. Textbooks are considered tertiary sources, right? So the chief sources when their chief purpose is to list, summarize, or simply repackage ideas or other information. That's the Bible. This is religious literature. This is the Quran. This is Judaism, or I should say the Torah. This is the Bible, the Hebrew Bible. This is the Tanakh, the Pentateuch. These are these texts. Tertiary sources are usually not credited to a particular author. Who's the author of these books? Most of the books in the Bible are anonymous. So this is tertiary evidence of the Abrahamic God. We have no proof whatsoever. Even if one was to participate in the same rituals, whether old or new, that would invoke the presence of any of these gods, the proof would only go as far as a personal experience versus the public manifestation needed to end thousands of years of ideological mayhem. Speaking of ideology, according to the Abrahamic belief systems, ideological mayhem is actually part of a divine scheme leading up to the great revelation of the main character in each ideology. Pay attention to these books outside of, I would say, the Torah. Okay, the books outside of the Torah, when you get the New Testament and you get the Quran, these books all have these apocalyptic events that are bad, and Daniel kind of has some too in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament. Not the book of Daniel. What's it called? Zechariah. Zechariah kind of has that in the Old Testament, but in that apocalyptic text in Zechariah, they're talking about all the nations coming together to bow to one God, and there are enemies. There are people battling at the time. This is different from when you're dealing with the Quran and the Bible and the New Testament of the Bible, because they're saying that the unity of people is actually not good. This is not a good thing that people are going to come together. And that, knowing that these gods aren't even real, that's weird that you wouldn't want. Who would not want humanity to stop fighting over gods, all the bloodshed over these gods, and no God has ever even popped up? There are people that are not here anymore with us because from modern time and in the past, there are people who then got chopped up for converting to Christianity and chopped up for converting to Islam still to this day. Okay? So excuses can be made by any ancient writer as to why the Abrahamic gods created beings who later end up as devices to do the dirty work of the gods. But without proof any of these alleged supreme beings actually exist, all we have is hearsay. Within faith, the need for reason diminishes after a human being is convinced that a God claimed to have a divine plan behind all that is and will be. The answer therein lies with the most powerful attributes of the God itself. If a being is all-knowing and one is convinced this same being is benevolent in nature, meaning he's just good, the amount of trust in this being goes through the roof. Once you sprinkle, so that's two things. Then here's the third thing. Once you sprinkle a few scapegoats on top of anything appearing to be malevolent, the deity is clear from any wrongdoing as long as these three aspects remain accepted. So you got the all-knowing, the dude is all good, And now anything that he could do that's bad, he blames it on somebody else. Once you have these three elements, you're creating a bulletproof God in the mind of someone who is weak and they're not going to think critically. What believers throughout time have failed to realize is none of the claims were proven prior to being accepted as true. And this is one of the keys to understanding why faith is the bonding agent for nearly all doctrines. Let us not forget we cannot use any of the actual words that came from any of the mouths of these Abrahamic deities because we never talked to them. We can't say what God said. We can only say what man said, that man said, that man said, that man said, that God said. We can never say that. So we would be lying. With that being stated, it would behoove all believers to keep that fact in mind as we go over the claims man has made pertaining to the background of God. No birth record. I think after this one, we take a little break. No birth record. Stating that God has no birth record may sound obnoxious after years of accepting a doctrine without much investigation outside of a comfort zone. What appears to be silly will also assist the investigation by seeing to it that all avenues are explored and properly cleared. Thanks to the human writers who made the claims, we have a few loose threads to pull at and unravel the mysteries encased in their ideological gift wraps. According to the most recent writers, all the gods of the Abrahamic faith are supposedly beings that have always existed and therefore were never born. On top of that, some believe in the New Testament, the Christian God encased himself into a human womb, grew up to be very wise, only to commit fake suicide. And that story is for another background. All right, just had to throw that piece in there because it's gonna line up in a second. One of the threads was found dangling alongside thousands of stone tablets dating back thousands of years before the monotheistic ink of the early Abrahamic religions stained Egyptian papyri. Unlike polytheists, monotheists find themselves constantly needing to deny anything polytheistic in origins. Needing to deny any polytheistic origins. My bad, y'all. To say that there are no believers of the Abrahamic faiths that acknowledge their polytheistic roots would be disingenuous. The information pertaining to early versions of the Abrahamic deities may not be common knowledge, though the study material is more available now than ever before. These sources are the closest evidence we have to a record of birth. Uncovering the origins of the Abrahamic God will not give anyone an upper hand over another religion. The benefit resides in the new understanding of the history of religion through the lenses of the people from the Eastern to Western hemisphere and not in reverse. Remember that, y'all.
Not in reverse, y'all.
Reverse. And this, I'm speaking in all types of avenues, right? I want this to be going through every tunnel. Not in reverse, from the Eastern to the Western, not the other way around. Remember, religion, slavery, all of that. The arguments against polytheistic roots can run uninterrupted until the end of time. However, the upcoming evidence will still hold its place in history, for these sources are literally set in stone. And we can break right there. I'm gonna take a couple sips of water, and you can ask some questions.
Man, this is deep, bro. You pushing all types of shit in with this one, bro. A lot of people gonna be mad at you.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about primary evidence and what was that word again? Tertiary, if I'm pronouncing that right. What
Tertiary.
Was that? Right. So with what you just said, it's safe to say that the biblical text is not considered a primary source. Is that kind of where we're going at with it, right?
It's not a primary source. It's not even a historical document.
Not a historical document.
Nope.
Because you mentioned in there what, by definition, a primary source is, what you gotta have to be a primary source. So like a person that says something and write it down, I guess we can consider that a primary source, right? Right. Like, but we don't have any of that.
Nope, we don't have. And remember what I said, it was a reason why I pointed out certain things, and you got to think critically when these things are being stated. I'll throw little things in there and then I'll expound on it later in the chapter. God wrote on the tablets, so that was our primary evidence. But do we accept tablets today as anything to do with the Bible? No one's looking at stones. You know, if we find something in Egypt and Sumer and Canaan, which we have, when we find these stones, and even they found tablets on top of Mount Sinai, literally. But no one says that this was the primary evidence and then use the primary evidence to go, hey, y'all lied. They could still say God wrote this stuff. He say God wrote the Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? Say God wrote the Sumerian text in the tablets and stuff found in Amarna, the Amarna tablets and the stuff they found in Canaan, and the Shesu people written on the walls over there where Hierapolis and what is that? The temple not Imhotep. Who was the guy that when he brought monotheism?
Akhenaten, right? Yeah,
and all of that. Yeah, those same stories are there. Genesis, the sacrificing of certain animals in the other realm or whatever. They took it to another level and they were sacrificing actual people. But these myths of sacrificing gods and other people in other realms, these weren't even real people. You know what I'm saying? But that story is still there, found in their text. The flesh and blood being and all that. We're going to get into that in a second. But why don't people say that this is the primary evidence if the book says that he wrote it on a stone? Why are we looking for papyrus if someone wrote it on stone? We ignore stones. Those are all polytheistic gods, right? So, yeah, you know, if he said he wrote it on stone, we should be looking at stone. We're looking at papyrus. We're looking at secondary, technically, but mostly it's tertiary sources because someone has compiled it together and they're using other sources to repackage some material.
So basically, he say, she say packaged up several times, but we don't know who she or he said it originally.
Correct. Right? And then the other part of it was that the authors are mostly anonymous. There's no specific author. We don't really know who wrote what. The Gospels themselves were given names later, like almost 200 years later. Nobody knows who those people were.
Wow. It's amazing that we have this amount of conviction in the biblical community with tertiary sources. You know, damn.
Y'all got any questions?
Yeah, for those you just tuning in, we're sitting down with MoFactz. He's discussing his book. You guys can look at and get the pre-order right now. If you guys have any questions pertaining about what he just said, or anything about what he just shared, you guys feel free to drop it in the chat, and I'll put the comment up for him.
Yeah, they didn't see me. They know all of this stuff already anyway. This is
most of y'all in the chat know what's going on.
Yeah, y'all know. I'm forgetting who they are. They know what it is, right? But yeah, whenever you're ready, I'll jump back in.
Oh, okay, brother. You good? You straight? All right, let me move my box out here.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah, family. That's right. We pushing shit in tomorrow, Child of the Sun. I see you in the chat, brother. Shout out to Child of the Sun. He's here, but he never want to hop in the box. I need 1,000 subscribers to get up in here, bro. Shout out to Patrice. I see you. Banter, get those slides ready, brother. I see you, brother. Remember now, you can always send me the link in a private chat, and I will support sharing whatever you got, because your information is fucking crucial, dog. Your information is just solid, dog. That shit is just bada. You can't fuck around with the ATCG on that shit. All right. All right, my man's back. I'm gonna go ahead and disappear.
All right, here we go. I'm on screen, right? Chinese whispers. Chinese whispers, a situation in which a piece of information is passed from one person to the next and is changed slightly each time it is told. If there is one habit humans have, it is the telephone effect. Over time, records of all types can be changed unintentionally. So we have us doing this on purpose, and we have it unintentionally. So this isn't something bad. We're like, oh, this is just us being absent-minded as to the fact of our own nature. As for the fact humans have a habit of intentionally, so we got unintentionally and intentionally, understating or exaggerating events for more reasons than brevity can stand, it should be unsurprising when we find discrepancies pertaining to the preservation of ancient documents, especially those recorded on materials that can easily be destroyed by climate, humans, or natural wear and tear. That sticks out. Why would God watch people sit there and write text on material that's going to be destroyed? Meanwhile, the polytheistic gods, or the gods of the polytheistic pantheons, they tell all of their followers to carve shit into stone. How does that make any sense? So it seems like the gods of the polytheistic pantheon are smarter because they say they're carving shit into stone, right? Continuing attempts to make sense of what flawed men are saying about deities and other unknown beings seems as if modern man has already given up on finding a connection to a higher power. So there's nothing wrong with finding a connection to a higher power. We're still trying to figure ourselves out and figure out this place. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you catch somebody lying, you are lying. When you catch them in their bullshit, they're in their bullshit, right? Don't give up and go, this is all, fuck everything. I'm just, nothing exists. I'm fake, because you're going to run off into some other shit. Just be open to new information. Think critically. Test things out. They work, they don't, and then keep the shit moving. That's how you do it. You don't need to actually like turn this into some situation where you just gave up on anything higher than yourself, because then that could fuck with your ego, and next thing you know, you'll become one of these gods. You see what I'm saying? So back to the future. Demigods El and Allah on the horizon. To better comprehend the development of the God of Abram, we have to go back to the first mentions of the Abrahamic deity and then work our way forward. Contrary to popular belief, the oldest mention of El or Elohim, Judeo-Christian, is not found in the Canaanite pantheon from the 14th to 15th century, and even that is damaging. Finding these gods in the 14th to 15th century BCE is still damaging. It is damaging because it's not supposed to be there at the time, right? Where we begin to see the convergence with Yahweh. Likewise, the earliest mention of Allah, Islam, is not the pre-Islam usage as a name for God for the Jews and Christians who resided in Arabic-speaking areas of the Middle East hundreds of years prior to Muhammad's existence. Both El and Allah are not originally referred to as the Most High gods. Keep that in mind. In fact, they were far from said status. The Epic of Atrahasis, 18th century BCE, found in Sippar, a Near Eastern Sumerian city located in modern Tel Abu Haba in Iraq. If I'm butchering this, please, forgive me. Babel Governorate. Is thus far the home of the earliest mention of El and Allah as LL and Allah. Both LL and Allah in these stages were lesser gods. And here is hella resources for you right there. If y'all want a screenshot, this is going to be recorded. You can play it back, just stop it, and you can run through these sources. They're very extensive. These are books, papers, dissertations, all types of stuff that is backing up what I'm saying. And guess what? I strategically picked believers to put in my footnotes and references. I strategically did that to show you that even the people who believe this shit are still deceiving other people because they know this is true. According to the Akkadian epic, mankind was absent from the stage up until the workload of the lesser gods, also known as the Igigi, grew unbearable, resulting in one of the Igigis, Allah, epiphany. LL, also referred to as the warrior and counselor of the gods, was in charge of these junior gods. An attempt at a revolution takes place after a continuous 3,600 years of labor, seeming to incite a sort of civil war and challenge the authority of LL. As he slept, LL's residence is then surrounded by ringleader Allah, assisted by an infuriated mob of gods who sought to carry LL from his dwelling place, prompting LL's guards to alert him regarding the commotion. What happened next in this narrative is key to removing misperceptions as to the divinity of LL. LL is the narrative. And LL in this narrative is not all-knowing, as the text states. He had no clue, so he can't be all-knowing because he had no clue. Somebody else had to come alert him. So this is proof right here within the earliest mention of LL that this dude is not all-knowing yet, which gives credence to the statements when people like myself say that these attributes were given to these gods later on in life. They did not have them initially. So yeah, he had no clue what was going on until he was alerted by his servant Nusku, his vizier, who was then commanded to acquire weapons, bar his door. Now he's barring his door. He can't be all powerful. Who is that out there? You God. What are you talking about? Huh? Bar the door and stand in front of LL. Then he wants his people to stand in front of him. Bar the door, warn him, and stand in front of him. In this early rendition, he's not, no, who is this dude? He's not all knowing. Did he forget who he was because he has existed for so long? Does he go in and out of knowing that he's all powerful? What's happening here? Or is this just the early versions of the story that we later on exaggerated? You know, when you hit somebody a couple of times and knock them out, yeah, I was fighting and he did it. By the time you get your ass home, you get off the bus and you get home with the people that didn't see the fight, you know, you add a little spice to it. You know, you don't even say the other person hit you. You bobbed and weaved and ducked everything and then boop, bop, boop, 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 boop. And that ain't what happened, right? After Nusku noticed the sallow look upon LL's face, Nusku then asked, why do you fear your own sons? So these are his children. These are his children. Wow, that is something good to note. And here's something else that we need to pay attention to. I keep pointing at the screen. I need to use this mouse because I forgot that y'all can see the screen. After Nusku noticed the sallow look upon LL's face. Well, sallow is like a yellowish look, right? That's like a yellowish look on somebody's face, right? That shows that there's not, this can't be black people. Right? For some reason, I don't know why people don't catch certain words that are being used. These are not black people here. For the people who say, oh, there's Sumerians and the Acadians, oh, these are black. I don't mind us having a presence there. I don't care if we were there and we exchanged language and gave them a script or whatever. I think we carried our ass and they went about talking how they talk. Because this, we don't turn yellow, buddy. I don't know what that is. You gotta have some pale skin for your face to be turning yellow. So Nusku then asked, why do you fear your own sons? And mind you, the word that they used in the text is the word for a yellow face, and sallow is used for English. Okay, so why do you fear your own son? Immediately after this question, gods of higher ranks are summoned, such as Anu, Enki, and the great Anunnaki. So now here we have some other gods. We got higher beings. We have LL summoning other gods. Why are you calling on other people? You're the most high God. Huh? What's happening here? So Anu, Enki, and the great Anunnaki are pulling up to assist this guy who's supposedly been all-knowing and the almighty God since the beginning of time, right? None of this stuff has ever changed. There's no Chinese whispers and there's no telephone game, right? We're all just atheists and we're mad at religion and we have some beef with God, right? That's what they want to make it seem like, but we're going to get to it. All right. Hydration, all of which had to be informed in detail as to what had taken place, alluding to the fact that not even the elites were all-knowing deities. So this gets a little bit more deep. Even the most powerful beings. So you got LL. You got the guy who's revolting. He's turning against, the power. He's fighting the power. And then he's summoning the vizier and guard the door. He has to defend himself. He sounds like a regular person. Like, am I getting? They sound like regular people here. They may be great, but they sound like regular people. And so the question must be asked, when you summon these other people down, why don't they know? Someone needs to be all-knowing, right? Or is it that the all-knowing attribute doesn't exist yet? The all-knowing attribute has not been attributed to any gods yet because the human being has not developed that concept. We didn't develop the concept yet. So man is telling on himself by way of his own linear history. His own linear history is telling on him like, oh, so yeah, that's why he can't be all-knowing, because you didn't put it in there yet. That was something that was beyond even the Anunnaki, Enki, and Anu, right? They don't have that yet, so they have to go to somebody else. They have this thing called destiny. If you read the entire Atrahasis, they have this thing called destiny, but they can still affect destiny. You see what I'm saying? They were slowly developing that all-knowing concept, but it wasn't fully complete yet. All-knowing deities. LL proceeds by asking the elites if he should battle his sons, the Agigi. This question goes unanswered. The new school ordered by LL to identify the conspirator by confronting the assembly of the gods in the name of his father Anu, counselor LL, chamberlain Ninurta, and the canal controller Anugi. Another brother of the higher gods there goes the higher gods. Another brother of the higher gods by the name of Ea questioned why the Agigi should be blamed if their workload was truly unbearable and the knowledge of it has not escaped the elites. So we have Allah in the story. If you haven't read it yet, Allah is complaining. He's like, yo, man, the workload is too, what is this? We are over here moving dirt, making rivers. We are planting trees and doing controlling crops for millions of miles and all this shit. This is what are we being overworked, bro? 3,600 years with this shit. What's going on? So they said, no, man, we about to get it popping. And then we have Ea. He's saying why the Agigi should be blamed if their workload was truly unbearable and the knowledge. So these gods are talking to these people. This is regular conversation. This ain't that these people are not like, whoa, this is some supernatural shit. You know, a decision was made to make primeval man, at first via the womb goddess, wise mommy, aka Nintu, but later the task was given to Enki to make man that they may bear the workload and the yoke of LL and the Agigi under one condition. One condition, y'all. One of the Agigi, the junior gods, must be sacrificed to purify the gods by immersion. Iluwela was chosen to be the sacrifice and his flesh and blood used to create a man god. A man god, guys. This is way back in time. We're going away. We don't have a New Testament yet. We're all the way back at 1700 BCE, y'all. 1700 BCE, and they're talking about man god, sacrifice him, make the flesh, the immersion. What is that? Here's a nice piece from the Atrahasis. Nintu shall mix clay with his flesh and his blood. Then a god and a man will be mixed together in clay. Let us hear the drum beat forever after. Let a ghost come into existence from the god's flesh. Let her proclaim it as his living sign. And let the ghost exist so as not to forget the slain God. We don't need to know what that sounds like. Just this right here is enough for a blueprint to get your ass some Jesus. That's enough for the blueprint. After that, all they need is a little bit from the Greeks, Egyptians, and some other shit from the Babylonians, and boom, and they got a full package. But that right there is what you did, that blood, flesh, ghosts, and sacrifice, and killing the blood, and the slaying God. Bro, it's right there. And it's way back 1700 BCE. A new epithet. Look, well, I skipped some. Okay, it is my opinion, and this is my opinion right here. And I do this throughout the book. Whenever it's my opinion, it's my opinion. And I tell you, it is my opinion, not fact, that Iluwela is Allah and was the same junior god that they chose to sacrifice for these reasons. This is why I think this myself. Okay, a new epithet is usually given to the characters who play more than one role. That is just how it is in ancient literature. If you ever study it, when someone is sacrificed or they play more than one role, they end up with a new name, and you can kind of see their other name infused into it, right? Iluwela is possibly a sobriquet added to Allah because of his intelligibility. right? LL was extremely adamant on identifying the ringleader of the revolt, right? LL wanted to know who was this? Who's the genius behind all of this shit? Who's the ringleader? Just like we do when we looking for a reason, we be like, yeah, but where your man is? Come on, man, where the chief at? We want to know where the Lord is at. Where's the God? Where's the master teacher? We want to find him. And it's the same thing that's going on. LL was extremely adamant on identifying the ringleader. Iluwela wasn't the ringleader, guys. Allah was the ringleader. So why is this person being sacrificed? Only one of the Igigi was needed for the immersion ritual. So some people who theorize, like they say, oh, Allah and Iluwela were sacrificed. I don't agree with that, because only one Igigi was needed for the immersion ritual. Allah is never mentioned again throughout the remainder of the Epic of Atrahasis. I read it over and over and over, and I'm like, yo, he's not popping up again. That's another reason I think he was sacrificed. Okay, earlier versions and later renditions, sequels to the Epic of Atrahasis show reference to a deceased Allah. So Allah dies, and people are like, in later renditions of the story, you know, they continue talking about these characters, and they're talking like, oh man, you know, Allah, rest in peace, the God, and they're still mourning him as if like he passed away or something, right? And the only place we see, hold on. And the only place we see that is in the story where they're looking for this ringleader, Allah, who was causing some trouble, you know, creating a revolution. Okay, the moon god, the pre-Islamic Arabian pantheon of 360 gods, name was Ilah, right? One of the higher gods, Ea, confirmed that Allah was intelligent by defending his claim about the hard workload. So we have one of the characters in the story defending him as being intelligent. Someone is looking for the intelligent person, and they're sacrificing, and they need to sacrifice them for the immersion of the gods. Ea even asked the higher gods, why are we blaming them? So Ea is in agreement with this. He has to be intelligent because he's thinking like one of the higher ups. He's like, he has the other higher up thinking. The higher up is like, wait a minute, their workload is hard. Why are we punishing them if they're telling the truth? Unless intelligent was a mistranslation of a word for innocent, who else amongst the junior gods could compare to Allah in the way he influenced Ea with his wise pleadings? The great gods made efforts to prevent the slain god from being forgotten. Iluwela was never mentioned again, right? If you don't want to ever make this person forgotten, why is Iluwela never talked about anymore? Right? Allah is the one who is continuously talked about throughout the text. So that's who he needs to remember. So at that moment when he's being sacrificed, he's the Iluwela, right? Just like someone becomes the Christ. He's Jesus. He's what's the name? Emmanuel. And then he's Jesus the Christ. And then he's God. He's the Savior. You see what I'm saying? They kind of transform depending on what they're going through in the story. And sometimes a name is just used once and then it's not used again. There is text missing, lacuna, around the sections where the correlation may have taken place. That's just my speculation. I highly doubt, and this part is very important, and this is why I believe that nobody is speaking about this, even though you can see in all of my references, the sources at the bottom, you can see that this is being talked about. They're talking about this stuff, but nobody's actually like coming out and doing what the hell we're doing, like combating people and like going toe to toe, pushing this shit out, doing presentations, making a presence online about this information, right? They're just publishing books in their little circles, and yeah, I gotta, and their students and everybody else, their colleagues and everything, and they go hear about it, they're studying and shit. But come on, we need to push this out, get it to the Pope. I highly doubt any well-known scholar, pay attention to this, any well-known scholar will want to be known for attaching the Allah of Islam to a pantheon of gods from ancient Mesopotamian religious literature. Who wants to be known for doing that? Me. I would love to be me. I would love for you to say, he said, I'm going to tell you that this is what the fuck is going on. The professionals, the experts don't have to tell you. It's up to us, especially in the Black community, to point this shit out, that these beings already existed in stories prior to the books that we have today. Evidence of the early, whether or not Allah is actually Iluwela doesn't diminish evidence that the earliest mentions of El and Allah as LL and Allah Yeah, evidence of so it doesn't take away from that evidence. All right, that's still there. That was just my opinion that I threw in there, so that maybe somebody could come later, correct it, or build upon it. Right. As the dates of the written traditions recede, so do oral traditions. In fact, there may even be plausibility in the idea that some Judaic oral traditions were created from the Canaanite, Babylonian, Akkadian, and Sumerian written traditions, uh, whether borrowed or stolen. And this part right here is very important because a lot of us we think that a lot of people think that there's oral tradition, then there's a written record, and people just continue with the oral tradition that they translate into the written record, and then from there we just keep copying and copying, and maybe you get some errors and mistakes, and people reform it and pick which ones they like. But the oral traditions from the older stories, because these tablets are buried, so these people don't speak these people's languages. So how did they end up with it? How would you end up with these people's stories if you don't agree with their gods? None of that. So that we have someone talking, someone is telling these people this story, and then they are writing the story down. Everyone's not writing. You had a lot of people that would, memorize things, and just like we still have them today, they're just not popular people, but they have their task in with the Quran, and still in Judaism with the Torah, to memorize the entire thing. That's their whole life is dedicated to that, or writing it. Thus rendering more recent oral traditions from the mid to late Iron Age as reconstructed histories infused with religious myth. There is no telling how many times this literary recycling happened throughout human history. For the time being, time operates in a linear fashion, and these findings reveal the deities whom many nations have shed blood over in recent history were no more proper than that of the ancient demigods who were labeled false gods, only to be revamped for a daunting new scheme. So what we have here is the demigods of the past, who people of modern time call the polytheistic gods, the false gods, the fallen angels, whatever. They got all these names they put on it. But at the same time, when we're doing our research properly, guys, we're starting to see that these people are using their shit and then scaring other people away from it. That's what they're doing. They're taking these so-called false gods and they're revamping them and turning them into new gods. They're upgrading them because it gets boring. In the law, he got killed, and he got this, and he came. Now they like, well, look, he came back to life. Matter of fact, he can't even die. His spirit lives in me. You see, they're upgrading the story over time, and he knows everything. He's all knowing. He can reverse time. He created everything, the entire existence. The story just keeps getting exaggerated over and over. El's next appearance is found in the West Semitic religion dating back as early as the 14th to 15th century BCE, and is the first sign of El's mythical and cultic role. The same religion that gave rise to modern Judaism, 6th century BCE. Look at these dates, people. We just finished with some shit from the 18th century BCE. Now we're moving to the 14th to 15th centuries BCE, and we still are not at Judaism yet. All of this stuff is happening before we even get to Judaism. And we've been going at it for a minute. We still haven't reached Judaism yet, y'all. That's why this is so important. And you still can see the correlations. We're going far back in time. The same religion that gave rise to the modern Judaism, okay, not to be confused with Yahwism. So there is another one. Before we get to Judaism, we had Yahwism. We still are not at Judaism yet. The religion of Israel, in which Yahweh was the head chief of the gods, rendering Yahwism as polytheistic, as well as making the cut for the subcategory of henotheistic. El in the Ugaritic text is known as the father of the lesser gods. Doesn't that sound familiar? Where did we hear that before? I could have sworn we just heard that in the Atrahasis. That someone is the father of the lesser gods, right? Okay, my Bluetooth, what the fuck? Oh, all right. He's the father of the lesser gods. Yeah, as previously mentioned, New School from the Atrahasis corroborates the Ugaritic narrative of Father God. Why does New School, the Vizier, confirm it within the other story? This attribute of Father God, because he asked him, remember, he said, why are you afraid of your own sons? Why are you afraid of your son? So he is the father, right? Attribution, let me go back a little bit, corroborates the Ugaritic narrative of Father God attribution when he asked LL why he feared his own sons. The same can be inferred from the comparisons of Kronos and El, equated by Philos of Byblos, a Phoenician scholar whose works were preserved in fragments via citation of Greek writers from later eras. Aligned with the Atrahasis, texts all throughout the Near East depict El as a chief deity, while the Ugaritic text, or listen, y'all, it's Ugaritic text, but I say Ugaritic. Okay, this is like it's supposed to be Ugaritic, but I'm saying Ugaritic text. All right, so just don't copy me. Ugaritic text seems to reflect an era where El's position is apotheosized to the maximum. Despite the exaltation, El's kingship was not the primordial default, as he is believed to have defeated other deities eons before. So in the past, he has fought other deities and destroyed them. So he can't be by himself and I was the only one there. He's fighting other people. The unparalleled, uncontrollable behavior of the deity Anat. Pay attention to this, because this has something to do with misogyny that we don't have in this text quite yet. So this is how far back we're going in time. We're going so far back in time with the Abrahamic development that we don't even have misogynistic stuff in this book yet. And we're going to see here the unparalleled, uncontrollable behavior of the deity Anat, as she is recorded flouting El with no castigation. Means there's no punishment, there's no criminal charges being taken up against her, and they're already familiar with like a court system and all that type of shit at this point. Reveals the stage for the misogynistic ideas leading up to monotheism were still distant. You see, so the stage is not even set yet for misogynistic ideas, because you would never have a female deity in any pantheon closer to the time of misogyny and being infused into religion, acting up and acting crazy. She does whatever she wants. Don't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. She does it anyway, and she's just sitting there chilling. Meanwhile, her brothers and all the other guys, they're getting their asses kicked and they're getting killed and all this, and she's just standing there like, anyway. And go do exactly what they did. When y'all read this story, it's crazy. Like, she does whatever the hell she wants. You know, so misogyny is not there yet. And that's something that all women should pay attention to, because these men who did this have stripped you from your hood. Like, there's a womanhood that existed that no longer exists anymore, especially in the Black community. Is gone. And it's not to say that you should be doing whatever the fuck you want, but there was a certain type of respect where it's like, maybe I need to find out why she's being loud. Maybe I need to find out why she's acting up. Maybe we need to find out why this behavior is happening. Maybe there was more respect. Like, now it's just like, you're gonna do what I tell you to do. You cover up your hair, hide, don't talk, be quiet. This shit is weird, and this doesn't exist yet. Here we can see the precursors that represent the building block of monotheism. In the Atrahasis epic, El is not yet described as all-knowing and all-powering. I guess I could. I don't like how that looks. I'm gonna put powerful. All-powering still could work, but I don't like it. Although LL was the father of the gods, Igigi, there were greater deities he took orders from and requested their permission on multiple occasions, while the Igigi were only junior gods who were believed to be the inhabitants of the earth prior to the existence of humans. The UBC paints Baal as a lesser deity, but not in the sense El cannot be defeated, dethroned, or replaced. El and the other greater deities are mentioned on three separate pantheon lists found in Ugarit, the ancient port city of, shout out to Port City, the ancient port city of northern Syria. One is listed as Ilib, El, Baal, and Anat of Sapan, and Pidri. According to Cross, Ilib is a generic name most likely connected to a divine ancestor of the people. Il-Ib is recorded before El and the other two major deities, but somehow made the list of minor deities. Archie points out the Hurrians, a Middle Bronze Age Near Eastern people who inhabited Anatolia, Syria, had an offering list bearing the same name, which translate to ancestor of the gods or godfather in the Hurrian language. Interesting. While there is no consensus as to the correct decipherment of El from the Ugaritic text, is if El, well, there's no correct decipherment. If El from the Ugaritic text is in fact a recycled version of the earlier Akkadian epic of Atrahasis, then the backstories about an ancestor god, a father god, and El's battle with gods prior to the Ugaritic pantheon is in question cannot be overlooked. So we hear in the earlier story that he's fighting other gods. They call him the ancestor god, the great warrior god who was battling against gods in the past. This is still being talked about as we're transitioning through the story. So when people say, well, that was a different El, you can't, because he's keeping the same attributes but just upgrading them over time. That's all that's happening. There's an upgrade of the attribute over time, but they're still dragging on this story, and we're heading up to Judaism right now, and we still have the same shit in the story. All right. Additionally, all four deities mentioned had temples erected in their names besides El. So that's interesting. Il-Ib and El didn't have temples erected to them, but Baal did. Not Baal, my bad. Of course Baal did, so I'm not taking that back actually, because he did. But where are we at? It's Anat. I just made the list of them. Where is it at? It's up here. Okay, so no, I was right. It is Baal and Anat of Sapan and Petri. So they all had temples built up in their name. So you see, he's on the rise. El is on the move. You know, he's trying to step up in the ranks. He's not. You see how he's elevating over time. He's elevating. There's other gods that came before him. Okay, biblical scholars who conveniently, not to mention the woman was still there. The woman still had a temple. We got to make that very clear. All right. Biblical scholars who conveniently happen to be followers in one of the three Abrahamic religions tend to downplay any other mentions of deities whenever they see an opportunity. The idea that modern day views reflect that of the true commands bestowed upon humanity by the one and only true supreme ruler of the universe is a sword every generation of believers line up to die on. And this is a fact. Every generation, bro, they just get up, give me a sword, I'm trying, and they just die on it. Instead of honestly joining the intentional development of religion by demonstrating why monotheism can be a better fit for some people who do not align with polytheistic practices, their first thought is to do patchwork on human history to further agendas that become a detriment to the field of academia. Now, this is not to say that Cross makes the list, though Cross was the son of a longtime pastor of Ensley Highland Presbyterian Church in Birmingham, Alabama. This is not evidence he subscribed to any Abrahamic faiths, right? Still so, the slights towards a deity mentioned before El and considered to be the ancestor of the gods can justifiably encourage skepticism, right? So I'm just pointing out that they have a weird bias for some reason. I researched him and I'm like, oh, okay, so your pops was the high priest, and okay, so you trying to just wiggle out of it and shit. So that's not proof that he was actually involved in it, because he sounds like he's not a believer to me, but maybe, you know, his father was influencing him, or friends, family, whatever. As previously mentioned, Elion also appears in the Canaanite pantheon as the Most High and the Father of Yahweh. Contrary to popular belief, Yahweh was not just another name for the supreme ruler of the universe prior to his semi-apotheosis. So this was a semi-apotheosis, right? Apotheosis is exalting something or raising something up to the highest point that it could be, basically, and that would be, in our world, because of our concepts or the lack thereof, it would just be a god. Basically, God, for some reason, God is the top thing in our understanding of the world. I don't know why, and we got to get rid of that shit, because these gods are whack, to be honest. Humans are better gods. So Rather, Yahweh was a second tier. Is that where I'm at in the Christian Bible? Yahweh is just not another name for the supreme being of the universe, a semi-apotheosis in the Christian Bible. Rather, Yahweh was a second tier deity along with others, with the other sons and daughters of Elion. LL is the EOA. LL in the EOA, and this is the epic of Atrahasis. I had to shorten these. Because it was just, I was trying to lower the words, I was trying to get it down as far as I could. So I had to shorten these. So this is just the epic of Atrahasis. So the EOA is somewhat part of the higher ranking of deities, but not enough to reconcile via theology how he found his way into the Hebrew Bible as the most high deity. Yahweh's development can be traced from late bronze 1550 to 1200 BCE to the Persian era 539 to 332 BCE. And there goes some sources. Y'all can screenshot. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Early on, he was a storm deity, much like the majority of the deities around the world in ancient times, while leading a heavenly army comprised of celestial bodies. By the time of the Persian period, Yahweh is seen as the one true God of Israel, equipped with compelling tales of rescuing his people from the wicked rulers of the Nile Valley, with the Hebrew Bible's patriarch Moses as his neophyte. The Exodus story, having yet to find its place in history outside of religious literature, has become one of the many flights of fancy found in modern Abrahamic religions. What unravels the tale even more is where we find the earliest mentions of Yahweh and his association with the Midianites and the Edomites before Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and even Moses knew his name. Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't even know the name of Yahweh, and we're already finding them amongst the Midianites and Edomites. How the fuck is that even possible? Moses didn't talk to him yet. So this is why this is why people fight. There's people who really understand Bible history and actual human history. I know that's going to sound weird to some people, but this is a fact. Biblical history is not the same as human history, right? And there's people who know that, who still are of the faith, and they try to tell people who are trying to push Moses too far close to our time, like, yo, no, bro. But without saying it, they be like, no, it's 1500, nigga, 1600. They keep trying to push it back, but they're like, yo, they're not telling them why. And this is the reason. If you try to place Moses anywhere they're trying to place him at, it makes no sense that he went on that mountain and he met Yahweh, because Yahweh already exists. So you mean to tell me that the God whose chosen people don't know his name is actually known to their enemies? The Edomites and the Midianites are the enemies of these people. What the fuck is that about? This is why chronology is very important when dealing with any type of history. So some biblical scholars who have abandoned their devotion to truth have teamed up with the common believer to express their concerns about secular conclusions pertaining to the localized status of Yahweh in the ancient Near East. Religious literature can hold as many claims as human beings are willing to believe, but proving the historicity of the claims is an entirely separate task. So how do scholars reconcile that the Edomites worshiping Yahweh in the 15th century BCE? How do they reconcile this? Redford states, the only reasonable conclusion is that one major component in the later amalgam that constituted Israel, and the one with whom the worship of Yahweh originated, must be looked for amongst the Shesu of Edom, already at the end of the 15th century BCE. While the homeland of the Shesu must be located in Moab and Edom, several corridors took these nomads on a seasonal basis for pasturage, service, and brigandage into other parts of the Eastern Mediterranean. Billington states, but even if Yahweh is a place in these hieroglyphic texts, it was clearly a place named after the God Yahweh of the Old Testament. Anything less seems too coincidental. There is no Bible. There is no Old Testament at this time. So what the fuck is he talking about? But this is how people are deceived. And he's not even speaking. Look how the guy up here, Redford, is speaking with the scholarship. He's talking about the locations, the people, the time, the dates. Look at this. This guy is over here talking about something. Even if what it is, they're on the hieroglyphs, and the Egyptians even know these people of Yahweh. They know who these people are. They know who they are. Not to mention, when you look at these lists, these people were not people of gods. When these people are writing on this wall, they were talking about, I defeated the people of these people, I defeated the people of this guy, and the people, it was a person. They're talking about a leader. They're not talking about a damn god. This is a real person that they were talking about, and this dude probably was exaggerated over time, and they turned him into a god because he probably got his noodles knocked. You know what I'm saying? They smashed on him to the point they humbled them, and they started trading with them, and they started helping them build up different areas like Canaan and shit. So, yeah. What Billington means by clearly place named after the God Yahweh of the Old Testament is unclear. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. There is no evidence of a modern Old Testament ideology in the 15th century BCE, but they know that you guys are not going to study this shit. So he's just saying shit because he knows, oh man, I can't stop I got to keep the music going. Turn that shit off. I'm blowing the speakers. To say otherwise shows a lack of respect for truth, accompanied by flawed academic discipline. This is why believers who turn to well-versed biblical scholars like Billington for answers as to why history is not aligning with the Bible will continue to be blinded by their own faith and yet another man's blind faith they mistake for devotion to a deity. Billington and other like-minded individuals have an agenda to support a narrative that was woven together and accepted prior to skeptics allowing the historical data to speak for itself. The fact that there exists beliefs in bizarre historical characters and even events absent of evidence within the field of academia that prides itself of substantiating claims uncovers the dark side of the education systems. All right. The confidence in the anonymous writers of religious texts continues to distort actual history. One side of academia seeks to find out what happened in history because in reality, there is no deity we know of that will answer our question. The other side is devoted to finding a place in history to fit a biblical version of history. As a result, we have the old Yahweh crossing paths where a prominent character, Moses, is supposed to have existed, and there's nothing relative aside from Yahweh inscriptions as deity of the very people in the text, and as the very people the text claims he hated before their birth. So if y'all don't know about Esau, right? Esau was hated before his birth. You can see that in the book of Romans, and you can see it in the Old Testament where he said, yo, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated, right? But it's just weird that the only place we actually find this dude in far back in history is amongst the people who God is supposed to be hating, to the point they even have depictions of him. They got pictures and sculptures and shit, right? Billington's argument against Redford regarding the named places can be accepted as valid in the Hebrew Bible narrative about God's primordial hatred for Esau, the lack of reconciliation regarding the existence of Moses, Edom having the oldest inscription of Yahweh, and still Yahweh being the son of Elion before the Torah will still pose an even greater dilemma because today Christians believe the creators in the book of Genesis were none other than Jesus, Yahweh, and Jesus' father, El. That's who they think that these beings are. They think it's three of them, but it's one. You know, that's what they think. So this doesn't make a difference where they put it at in time because now we're still dealing with the God. So now you got a patriarch, the neophyte that's under the guy. You got angels, and you also have his son that's being sent, and you have the father God, the Elohim, from the beginning of the book, who disappears in the rest of the book, and then it's replaced by this Jesus, who we say, oh, that's God, and then he's just called the Father. There's no more El, but we know he's the Father. He's the Father attribute. We know that, and we know he has sons. But in order to keep the story going with this father figure and still have sons, because that's a very powerful story, right? When you sending your son out to do your dirty work and stuff like that, they had to make them all one because it still needs to be monotheistic, but they still have the polytheism in there. They're just forcing you to ignore it. Just they're all one. They're all one. What are you talking about? They are all one. Slow it down. They just dished you, right? By this understanding, the divine family structure found in older versions of these belief systems are still alive, hidden within a plethora of other modifications. Modern day believers say that there are three persons, a trinity, and one nature, but Jesus, still a son to a father that is greater than he is and was given the authority to act on his father's behalf. This throws the monotheism out the window and reverts our attention back to the source. Moreover, if Billington and like-minded scholars are still attempting to locate a place in traceable history where the Exodus can exist with all its far-fetched assertions, then the evidence for Moses is still imaginary, and by default, whatever deity he spoke to is imaginary just as well. You follow me? This dialogue started with men, and until one of the millions of deities throughout human history make an appearance and clear up all of these discombobulations. I don't know if did I make that word up? Discombobulations, for real. It clears up all these discombobulations. All we have, he uses a big word and can't spell a small word. These discombobulations, all we have is our logic and evidence left behind by other humans. And we can take a break here, and this is the last section. After that, we can take a break right here because I gotta turn the fan on. It's hot.
You pushing shit in over here, bro.
Facts.
Biblically, that's a biblical ass whooping some of y'all just got right now, family. Family. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Mo is going at it with the information, man, out of his book, man. I like this shit right here, bro. I can't wait to get my copy, man. I'm really excited now that you showed this part.
Word, and this is just one chapter.
Damn,
just one chapter, bro.
That shit bomb, bro. Go ahead.
It's a word in the dictionary. Yeah, I bet it probably is. I had to check it. Hold on, y'all. I'm just hydrating a little bit.
Yeah, peace, everybody. If you guys just tuning in, go ahead and hit the like. If you guys like the content that you're seeing, go ahead and support my brother by ordering the pre-order right now.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, brother. And follow him on YouTube, man, if y'all haven't already. The brother gonna take off with the information, man. What's up, family? Peace to the motherfucking chat. Are y'all ready to see somebody? Damn, my shit got muted. Are y'all ready to see somebody shit get pushed in tomorrow? What? Shit is going down. I think people got a little afraid, a little upset, a little scared and shit. Look, man, it ain't personal. It's all about the information. We're gonna attack that motherfucking information. We going at that shit. We going at it hard. So we got the deep fryers sky high. We deep frying motherfucking jive ass turkeys. People don't like that shit, but it is what it motherfucking is. So thank y'all, everybody, for hanging in there, man. Mo just went over going over the first chapter of this book. Everybody, like I said, for those who haven't followed homie, go ahead and follow him. Somebody go ahead and put the link to his book in the chat again. What was that? I forgot the name of the link. Okay. Here's the mofo link. Yeah, peace fam. Thank y'all for hanging in there today. Are y'all excited about tomorrow? Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We're gonna have a big old mega presentation tomorrow. It's going down. Shout out to the Adjustment Syndicate. I'm excited, man. We've been working, just kind of getting all this information out to the audience. I'm trying to find what the hell. Oh, damn. Lily already got it. See, Lily on point. I'm looking, you already got it.
There you go. I think you're muted.
We good?
You are good, brother.
All right, let's get back to what we was at.
Full autonomy again.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. This is definitely a gift and a good look. Let me lower this audio. What's that? Evidence behind other. Okay, Jethro and Yahweh. Augmentation. Still a little bit too loud. Augmentation of the Kenite hypothesis. Synopsis. The Kenite hypothesis is a biblical hypothesis that proposes the Kenites were a group of metalworkers and smiths who inhabited ancient Canaan. Excuse me, y'all. Inhabited ancient Canaan and recorded throughout the Hebrew Bible. The hypothesis illustrates the Kenites as an ancient clan who accompanied the tribe of Judah and were influential in the expansion of ironworking expertise in the Levantine region. Found on linguistic, cultural, and historical evidence, the Kenite hypothesis is a hidden gem of the skeptical world, and though debated by apologists for at least 178 years, modern Bible scholars, rabbis, apologists, and theologians are warming up to the theory, as it is no longer a matter of fact. A matter of faith, but a matter of facts. Nearly 200 years ago, the brilliant minds that set the foundation of the Kenite hypothesis would have never guessed what confirmations arose from modern technological advances paired with archaeological finds. When truth is established, even the believer is bound to the duty of preserving these discoveries. So this is something that hit me like a ton of bricks when I was reading about it. I'm like, what? I'm looking at the people who first, because I'm getting the same idea when I'm reading through the show. I'm like, there's something weird with this Jethro and this Moses, Yahweh. What is this? This shit is weird. Like, something was so weird, it's just not making any sense. So I'm digging and digging, and I'm running into this Kenite hypothesis. And I heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. So I was like, damn, I'm reading into it, and they're saying the same thing I'm saying, but in more details. And then, some things, my shit is new that I got my own spin to it. That's why I put augmentation, because I'm adding to it. Like, I'm building on top of what they had already said. And they're not alive anymore. And they didn't have any of the technology that we have or any of the discoveries. These people never even knew they were correct because they're not here anymore. So this is another reason why we got to keep on building upon this. It's very important if you're capable of doing it. Jethro, formerly known as Ruel in the biblical narrative, and Raguel, sorry if I'm butchering it, in the Septuagint, is a Kenite priest of Midian who gave his daughter Zipporah in marriage to Moses during his escape from Egyptian justice for killing an Egyptian he witnessed beating a Hebrew slave. That's according to the narrative. The enigma before understanding Jethro's connection to Yahweh is the harsh treatment of the Edomites and Midianites throughout the Hebrew Bible. Everybody knows about the beef. If you read the Old Testament, you heard any of these debates, we always bring up the Edomites, the Hebrew Israelites, like, yo, these Edomites, the Edomites are the enemy. The Midianites were cool with them because I think the patriarch for them, Midian, was still connected. He still had ties, but later on they end up turning against them as well. So these are enemies, even though they're supposedly family, they're coming from the same womb. Like, this is incredible, but they're enemies in history throughout the Hebrew Bible, right? The Old Testament writers make it clear the deity of the Israelites hates the people of Edom, Esau's descendants. As for the Midianites, the writer of Numbers 21, 1 through 13, extends praises to Aaron's grandson, Phinehas, for thrusting through a Midianite and Israelite couple with a javelin for idolatry. Ultimately, throughout the whole ordeal, 24,000 of Abraham's descendants were killed by a plague from Yahweh, and an unspecified amount were executed when Moses was ordered by Yahweh to take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. What are we doing? What's going on here? This shit is getting crazy, right? In the realm of entertainment, the stories post and pre-Exodus are suspensefully captivating and justifiably so. It's one of my favorite stories, I ain't gonna lie. Though the belief in a war over obedience seems to be the common plot of the Abrahamic literature, many scholars and religious nobles have already alluded to the presence of amalgamation, syncretism, and the internal feuds that gave way to the versions of these ancient traditions we possess today. In order to see the motive of man, we must cut through the smoke screens, poetic gymnastics, and deity claims. My bad, y'all. When history and science are on the line, we must set aside our fascinations, romanticisms, and fear of the unknown in order to see what is hidden in plain view. All right. Number one, please pay attention to this. Jethro is a Kenite priest of Midian. Y'all got to really follow this. Jethro is a Kenite priest of Midian, but the Hebrew Bible makes no mention of what order in the priesthood. Because if you're a high priest of some type of priesthood, like what order? Like who's the God? What's going on? What's your rank? What's happening? Who ordained you? Who put you in place? There is none of that in there. Yet he participates in the priestly practices while being honored by the multitude, including reverence from Moses. And that's kind of understandable because he kind of rescued Moses, gave him a daughter and all that stuff. Cool. Or gave him his daughter. Okay. Kenites are the first clan mentioned in the Abrahamic seed covenant that listed of 10 nations that listed that listed 10 nations. 3. Kenites are typically placed at the top of the tree of life diagram, position in Keter, meaning crown. And if anybody has seen the tree of life, it's like all of these little orbs. And then at the top, there's Keter, there's like Binah, Shakma, and all that. And at the top, there's Keter. The Kenite is the representation of the top, at the top, Keter, right? Meaning the crown. The 10 commandments are comprised of 620 letters, which represent the same number for Keter. It's going to get deeper. And these are all the references right here. Boom, stop it for a second. I can catch it on the replay, pause it. The portion of the Torah where the 10 commandments are given is named after Jethro. That's insane. The portion of the Torah where as soon as they get to the part in that chapter where they're giving you the 10 commandments, it says Yitro in the Jewish Hebrew Bible. It says Yitro, and that translates to Jethro. How? Why would that even happen? Is that a coincidence? Ruel, which is believed to also be a tribe of Edomite descendants, and Jethro are believed to be the same person by way of their association with Moses. The name Yitro has the same numerical value as the word Torah. This is just he's in the top of the laws. He's at the top of the tree of life. The numbers add up to mean the word Torah. I mean, the numbers of the word Torah is Yitro, and Yitro is at the chapter where he's giving the commandments. Like, what is going on here? And I'm sorry, I don't have the pictures in here yet for copyright purposes, so I had to take it out. I do have like diagrams showing you the Hebrew and the letters and the numbers added up in the tree of life and all that. But I gotta, I can't put that on here yet because everything is not all the way sealed. So I ain't trying to, get fucked up on that. So 8, Kabbalists have stated Moses is the reincarnation of Abel and Jethro is the reincarnation of Cain. Hence the word Kenite. And when you hear people speak of this, like people in Judaism, of course, we speak English. So we're going to say Kenite, right? But they actually say Kenite. They don't say Kenite. They say Kenite. Right. And that's strange. I was always like, why are they saying that? But they know their literature. They know it more than we do. So they know that this is referring to Cain. They even have it in their extra biblical text in their story that they, speak of that we don't even really read. Or most people don't really read because I definitely read. Jethro has 7 names in the Hebrew Bible. Jethro, Ruel, Jether, Hobab, Heber, Cani, and Putiel. Moses and Jethro share the epithet Heber, and in Hebrew translate to friend. Moses and Jethro are portrayed as being good friends. Using Torah code, gematria, Atbash, Shimham Forash, and other literary techniques, Cani, Jether, Heber, and Jethro, are hidden yet replete. So what this means is when you apply these techniques to the text, the Torah code, gematria, Atbash, Shimham Forash, and other literary techniques, you can take sentences, you can read them backwards, you can add up the numbers and then add them all together and then divide them by the number of verses and all. You can do all types of things, and these names just keep popping up over and over. Cani, Jether, Heber, Yitro, Jani, So he's this dude, someone is hiding him all through the text. You just can't get around it. There is no concrete scholarly consensus as to why Ruel's name makes an abrupt change. Well, I have a theory. His name probably changes in the text because they're trying to mess with the numbers. They need to have a numerical correlation with the story and the code that they're putting into the book so that the high priest can understand the story, because it's really nothing to do with an actual God. This is something coded and it's for these people. So hijacking this shit, especially if you're black, is really idiotic. If you're a black person, you need to leave this shit the fuck alone, because this is none of our business. Luckily, there's people I ran into on TikTok, I spoke to on Facebook, and in person that they're, I resonate with them and they are willing to give me information and point me in certain directions. Like, look, bro, check this out. And that's how I found it. I didn't do all of this shit on my own. A lot of Jews helped me out with this stuff. So this isn't just me speaking. Ruel is a name that traces back through the lineage of Esau, the father of the Edomites. Ruel, Jethro, is also a Kenite. And I keep saying Kenite. It's supposed to be Kenite. It's also a Kenite. Now, this is what makes no sense at all. Not only are the Kenites connected to Cain etymologically, Kenites are believed to have descended from Rechab, or through the intermingling of the Midianites, Jethro, and the Levites, Moses. Moses is from the Levite tribe, right? And the Midianites is from Jethro. Hold on, y'all. My kids. Go. I'm live. Go to the door. The other way.
I'm gonna hit that like button.
All right.
Not hit that like button. My boy.
My bad, man. The cheering. It's the cheering.
Oh man.
All right. This is who we do this for, man. This is who we're doing it for anyway, right? The Kenites. We have Moses. Okay, I got to read this again, y'all. Pay attention. The Kenites are mentioned before Abram, because before Abram became Abram. Oh no, damn! I already went down. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Ruel, Jethro, is also a Kenite. Not only are the Kenites connected to Cain etymologically, Kenites are believed to have descended from Rechab, or through the intermingling of Midianites, Jethro, and Levites, Moses. Remember this: Levites and Jethro, Midianites, Moses. Remember these four things, right? The Kenites are mentioned before Abram became Abraham. More specifically, at their first mention, there is no Jacob, Israel, there is no Midianites, and there is no Levites, so there is no Moses. So what are these people talking about when they say that the Kenites are a mixture of the Rechab people who intermingled with the Midianites? They were already spoken about in the Old Testament. The Kenites are mentioned before Abram became Abraham. He don't even have Jacob yet. None of this stuff even happened. So how do we have Kenites? So this is why this is very important. This is a error that if you study this shit, you'll find it and it'll stick out like, hold on, wait a minute. How can you exist before you're supposed to exist? We keep finding the same pattern, things existing before they're supposed to exist. Okay. For the Kenites to be the Kenites in the book of Genesis, whoever the father is had to have existed before the suffix "ite" is attributed to the name. We all know that that's how it works. The Midianites, the Edomites, someone existed. There's an Esau, there's a Jacob. They even had Jacobites at a certain time. There's always a person that existed, and then the people who are the descendants of that person, they get called the "ite." You put the "ite" on it and the leader's name, and then they keep on moving with that shit, right? Per the Hebrew Bible, the deity Moses met was Per the Hebrew Bible, if the deity Moses met was real, there still was no way for Moses to know for a fact that El Shaddai and Yahweh were actually the same being. There's no way he could know that. It's impossible. He's just meeting this person for the first time. He don't know who it is. So to say that, oh yeah, they knew me as El Shaddai, but to you, I'm gonna tell you my real name. My real name is Yahweh. There's no way possible that this could have occurred in his head. Like, oh, okay, I know who you are. No, you don't know this dude. Jethro, Ruel, his 7 daughters, Moses, and merchants from near and far would have been familiar with desert trekking, right? It means they would know their way around that area. So because Jethro is already staying there, as mentioned, and we already have evidence that there's Midianites and Edomites in that area, and they have a god. They have Yahweh is already there. They got sculptures, temples, and all that shit. This is before Moses. As mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, and it would be the Kenites would have been well-traveled people who would surely not get lost in the desert, but may very well have taken advantage of people unfamiliar with the terrain. So this is kind of giving credence to a people that may have existed. We don't need the God and all that supernatural shit. Let's just deal with what could have happened with human beings, right? We can see that the people from looking at this area, that they would know their way around this area. The only person who wouldn't know is Moses and whoever was coming with him, or even if Moses didn't exist, any group of people who came through there that may be involved in this story or the exaggeration of it, they could have been deceived by the people who were already there. Sacrificing of the firstborn by a foreign deity is absent from Egyptian records and most certainly would have been recorded. Thousands of years before the old Hebrew Bible's Exodus manuscripts, parallels can be found in the late Demotic texts, Sintne, Kamswa, and the Sea Osir and Pyramid text. And I just want to make this clear. The parallels that we find in these texts when it's regarding sacrifice, they're talking about sacrificing mythical creatures and sacrificing gods. Just like you've seen in the Sumerian story where humans don't exist. They're not sacrificing humans. This is a myth where a god is being sacrificed for something. So these aren't humans. Later on, you got these other people who are sacrificing humans off of what I think, in my opinion, they're reading other stories and they're trying to act them out, even though these people, they're not talking about real people. In the mind of the believer, human sacrifice is justified off the strength of their faith in a deity, whether good or evil. For this reason, the historical evidence never leads to an actual supreme being, but a group of human beings in power who claim they are acting on the behalf of the deity being promoted at the time. That's very important. They're acting on the behalf of the deity that's being promoted at the time. In this case, it's Yahweh and or El Shaddai. Nearly all the wonders performed by Moses and or mentioned throughout the Exodus and the Joshua conquest are found in ancient Kemetic or Egyptian, as people call it, literature dating as far back as 2500 BCE. And I'm going to show you guys a nice chart too. That's the other treat I'm going to give you. I'm going to show y'all 2 charts that is going to be, you could rip these 2 charts out this book and throw the rest of it in the trash. Don't do that though. But I'm saying you could, and it would be very damaging. Just keep that shit in keep it on deck. Keep it on deck. I'm telling you, it took me a long time to put this shit together. Moses, according to the Hebrew Bible, died as a result of his disobedience at the waters of Meribah and Kadesh. Indirectly, this is stating that God is responsible for his death. And again, this claim comes from who? A man. If Moses or some figurehead of the sorts really existed, the infused mythical events in blaming God for so many deaths, including Moses, could very well be a cover-up for the crimes of man. So when you remove all of the foolishness from the story and the supernatural events and shit and all of that, we don't even need to find that. What we can just deal with is human behavior. We don't even have to worry about the names. We can just look at the story and then look at the historical record. And do we see, was there a group of people here? Yes. Did they interact with these people? Yes. Were they worshiping this God? Yes. Was there death and murder and war? Yes. But we don't have to blame it on a God. We don't have to say it was supernatural and all that. These are men killing other men, using religion as their tool to control people's minds. Let's quit with the cap. Both the late and early dating for the biblical Exodus is futile when there is no evidence of the biblical Exodus outside of the Abrahamic text. More specifically, extra biblical sources like Manetho, Flavius Josephus, Jewish folklore, Alexander Polyhistor, etc., and others are all centuries after the alleged events of the biblical Exodus took place. Even with this many early secondary sources of Moses, all the writers have fluctuating stories, making the need for more primary evidence immensely vital. To choose the sources that best align with a particular Abrahamic text would be biased without any corroborating archaeological evidence to justify the selection. What is known about the human relationship with the deity is they're nearly 100% of the time introduced by another human being, specifically a family member or a friend. And in this case of Israel, it appears to be their fellow so-called Hamite, Egyptians as they call it, Edomite, and the Midianite or Kenite brothers. A supreme deity who always remains the same should never change, even as humanity evolves, correct? What modern man sees as the disobedience of ancient God-given wisdom is almost certainly the work of men who knew the concept of these deities were man-made and took it upon themselves to join in on helping humanity create the fathers that we never had. Because everybody want to know where we come from. where the chicken or the egg. That don't mean cap though. Exodus 18, 9 through 12. Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hands of the Egyptians. Verse 10, and Jethro said, blessed be the Lord, who have delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of the Pharaoh, who have delivered the people from under the hands of the Egyptians. Now I know the Lord is greater than all gods. How and is that possible? How is he greater than all gods? There are no other gods. What are you talking about? In the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for God. And Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. This dude is very important, but somehow just some stranger. After Jethro's strange behaviors, we have this unusual, rebellious, and doubtful behavior by the Israelites, who so desperately needed rescue from bondage. So you mean to tell me that the God saves them? They seen the cloud, the pillar, the famine, the curses, the plagues. They seen all of this stuff happen, and they're going to turn around and just disobey God. But a stranger who didn't even get rescued, he's just there in the desert somewhere, randomly just sucking on sand or some shit. And he just, this is the real God of all the gods. That don't make sense. Let somebody come if anybody pulls somebody out of some situation like that they were speaking of in a story, these people are not going to turn against that person. They're already humbled enough to be obeying a pharaoh that's beating their ass every day, right? Allegedly. But then a God rescues them and they're just going to disobey him. Quit the cap. Stop it. Stop the cap. This scene attracts skepticism. Jethro, a priest of unknown order, submits himself to Yahweh and performs priestly duties as if he's already familiar with the traditions. The patterns of human behavior are progressively sharpened through implausible narratives involving supernatural events. The deity thus far appears to be no more than a tool to govern a people who continuously wander from one land to the next, leaving with fragments of foreign sanctities appended to their psyche. See, they're adding things on and keeping things that they had previously. They're just adding things on as they move through these lands. And I took you through like 4 different civilizations so far. This is the 5th civilization I'm taking you through, and these people are picking up stuff from all of these different places. The Kenite hypothesis only falls short against the Israel Exodus chronicle of Moses and no direct admission from Edomites, Midianites, and Kenites. That's the only place it falls short because no one's actually saying it. It has all the evidence, just no one said it in the book. That's it. Minus the smoke screens of the magicians, anti-paganistic stances, nature submitting to a deity, threats from on high, an outbreak of continuous miraculous events, historical evidence, along with clues embedded in the religious creeds, support the idea that the bridge to Yahweh is built by two unlikely culprits. Who is that? The descendants of Cain and Esau. Volney states, let us hear this dude's name is hard to say. I think it's Senconithian, Seniathon or some shit. But the name is spelled differently. So later I'm gonna say San here, Senkaniathon, and then the other one I'm probably gonna say Senkaniathon. All right. Let us hear Senkaniathon, who wrote about 1300 years before our era. Saturn, whom the Phoenicians called Israel, had by a nymph of the country a male child who he named Jeud. What was Abraham's son's name? Jacob. There's Saturn, the god of the Phoenicians, who has a child named Jeud. And his name, Saturn's name is Israel. That's what Jacob's name was changed to in the Bible. Right? And this is his only son that he's about to do some weird shit to. On the breaking out of a war which brought the country into imminent danger, Saturn erected an altar brought to his son, clothed in royal garments, and sacrificed him. So this is not a new story. The name isn't even new. This isn't a new name. These names are not new. These names are old, and they're just taking them and revamping them, and they're remixing the story. And he was going to sacrifice his son, but somebody intervened. They're spicing the story up because it would be a fucking dumb story to be sitting there and just like, I'm just kill my son because an angel told me to. But somebody jumps in and goes, no, don't do it. You've done so well. And because you've done that, I'm going to kill my son later in the future. It's like, it makes the story powerful. Like, oh my God, God loves us so much that he didn't let Abraham kill his son. God killed his son. They just like this, and you fall for it like, wow. And then the Vaseline. Israel in ancient times, being another variation of Saturn who sacrifices his son, does not change the fact that none of the deities of the past or present are here to vouch for the writer. So we don't even know if this Saturn dude did it either. So don't get confused. It doesn't mean, oh, Saturn was the real god. Don't get lost anywhere in this shit. I'm just showing you that this is not new. This is the same game they've been playing on us for thousands of years. They're just sprinkling more sugar on it. And once that Kool-Aid hits your lip, just don't drink it. In reality, what we are looking for is consistencies and inconsistencies while reviewing the works of other humans. Oh, I gotta make sure my charge is plugged up. All right, we good. Of other humans. Trying to find an immortal creator deity in a book is a complete hoax. You're not going to find an immortal creator inside of a book. Volney goes on to say, will it be said that San Haniathan, changed his name, who consulted a Hebrew priest named Jerombel, disfigured the account of Genesis? We maintain, on the contrary, that the author's accounts tend to prove its non-existence in his time. They're saying the book Genesis ain't even there at the time. So why are you going to say that? You heard that the guy earlier, was it Billington? He tried to say that, oh yeah, it's obviously they got it from this god, and he's the guy's doing the same. They do the same thing. Oh well, the Phoenicians took it from Genesis. There is no Genesis. What are you talking about? It does not exist yet. They are the ones with it, and strangely enough, the Phoenicians people are some of their writings, or most of their writings are gone. It survives through quotation. That means these people destroyed it, and we're looking at the remnants of their story. They remix their shit and then turn around and go, you stole my shit. When we find in history that you have stuff that matches somebody else's shit before you even have yours, now you got to turn around and point the finger back and go, no, they stole our shit. They don't really have nothing. What are they stealing your shit for? We just found fragments of their material from destroyed areas and ruins, and we found notes from people who talked to them and had written works later on, and those things survive. So we see the quotes of these people or references to their name. The truth is, the Phoenicians, a people much more ancient than the Hebrews, had their own particular mythology to which this fact appertains, instead of being borrowed from the Jews, who they detest. Why then the resemblance? Because a similar tradition prevailed among the Chaldeans, a nation of Arabian origin like the Canaanites. But the Jewish author of Genesis endeavored to make every trace of idolatry disappear in order to give to his account the historical and moral character that suited his purpose. So they took that shit and put their own spin on it, because these people are headed towards constructing this monotheism. And later, towards the end of this, we're almost done, you're going to hear how this development is still in a process even to today. As you have read repeatedly throughout this background check, scholars are not accusing anyone of stealing or actually destroying a real deity to appease another. With all religious bias set aside, the crafting of new religious belief systems will always include the main concepts, added concepts, and modification. Where and when the first modification occurs will escape humanity, will escape humanity for the rest of our time in existence. Even if the source of the original Abrahamic faith appeared to the world and explain what happened, we still have to believe it, because we were not there. Okay? We would still, if a being came down here and go, yo, Mo, you've been doing your shit, bro, salute. And I'm like, who the fuck? It's me, Elohim. You know what I'm saying? What's up? You right. But let me tell you what really happened. Guess what? As he's talking to me and he's making honey come out of rocks and he's raising people from the dead and creating planets, I'm like, yo, this dude, what? This crazy. I'm talking to God, bro. This is wild. I still got to believe him. I would still have to believe him. This is why belief is dangerous. Y'all got to really get hip to this shit. Immortality don't matter, because you were never immortal. You won't know if you got it. I gave you a donut, right? And I say, look, check this out. Give me that cookie right there, because I like the cookies. I don't like these donuts. You like donuts? Let's swap. You had a donut before, bro. So that's why you know what a donut is. Somebody saying, look, I'm going to give you immortality. What is the reference to immortality? You don't fall for this crazy shit. In the beginning, I was not there. Be quiet. I'm not there. So I can't. I don't want to hear nothing about no beginning. In the beginning, God, no, that's already sounding like some bullshit. Because me and you, we all just got here. Everybody living today just got here because our life is not as long as those people that, so-called live 600, 700, 800 years in the Bible, right? Even if the source of the original Abrahamic, the faith of what happened, we still have to believe, because we were not there. Because of natural human response, a lot of us will still ask questions that will offend people who already accepted the story from man. So accepting it from a mysterious higher power that shows up would never be surprising to critical thinkers. So we're not surprised when y'all say, but what if something really shows up? Bro, I know if a UFO pull up or some being comes here, it could be some aliens show up. Y'all probably gonna think it's God, and you probably gonna do whatever they tell you to do, because you already believe some shit that a man said. So if another being more powerful than you pops up, you're gonna definitely believe him, because you believe the damn book that a man wrote. So we're not surprised about that. Y'all quit with that. Like, what if this? There's no what if. We know you're gonna fall for it. People of faith, both learn and unlearn, are stuck with the impression that non-believers do not believe the God of the Bible is who he said he is. That is so strange. They think that we don't believe that the God is who he said he is. Didn't I say earlier in the chapter that we have never been able to use any word that a God has actually said? How can people say that we don't believe the God is who he said he is? He never said nothing. We don't believe you. And this is why this stuff is important, because people need to take responsibility for the shit that they're saying out of their own mouths and the things that they're supporting that came out of dead people's mouths. Okay? Who didn't have your best interest in mind and didn't even look like you, right? These thought processes are very discomforting to a person who does not believe a God spoke in the first place. Even if the faith were mutual, a believer would still have to trust the ancient writers who allegedly shared a message from the deity, while again completely disregarding the fact that non-believers do not believe the being exists. They then proceed to create some type of feud between another human and the character of the story that they believe in, instead of acknowledging the disagreement between the ancient writer and the modern readers who have evolved enough to see through the lies and misrepresentations of history. So this is why you see me and big suit and, going at it with people. And once they cross that line and they be trying to make it seem like we go in there and we troll with them. We play with them because they're like, oh, so God, you don't like him. And what did God do to you? Be like, oh, let me tell you something about, because I seen him yesterday and he walked up on me and he was like, peace. And I backhanded that. We play with them because they like to, turn it into some feud. So like, you wouldn't be funny and threaten me with hell and do all this. So let me show you what I do to this dude that don't even exist. We're trolling them. But if they want to do it, we'll take it there because they already got the threats there. And that shit is ridiculous, especially to be teaching to children. Out of all the things that we can teach that we've learned through our lives, why in the world would we give them a schizophrenic God? This is crazy. So what archaeological evidence shows us is Edom and Midian were no strangers to Yahweh. Edomite territory is a short distance south of biblical Canaan, and this location is where we find evidence of the Shesu people who were mentioned in relation to Yahweh. These inscriptions support the existence of a people who connected themselves to Yahweh. As for the biblical narrative, historical evidence does not agree with Yahweh being worshipped only after the time of Moses. That is impossible. It's historically inaccurate. It doesn't make sense. Whether Moloch, Baal Peor, or Yahweh in traceable history, human sacrifice. Remember this. It doesn't matter what God it is. Do not be fooled. If you're still a believer, wake your ass up. It don't matter when they talk shit about Moloch and Baal Peor and you can't do human sacrifice at all. You understand what I'm saying? It's wrong, period. Oh, I'm with the real God. Well, God did that because he wanted to. So what's the difference when Moloch is doing it? What's the difference when Baal Peor is doing it? What's the difference if Allah's doing it? What are y'all talking about? You don't sacrifice people. This shit is just dumb to do. Human sacrifice is evil, irrespective of the deity and power at the time. Therefore, the killing in the name of a deity or the accreditation for unfortunate events cannot be exclusive to any deity outside of human persuasion. We can't even blame a deity for this shit. You're talking about supporting mass genocide, gentrification, miseducation, delusions of grandeur by these leaders, and you're supporting it. And it's from a human, it's not a God. In your mind, you're trying to justify all of these heinous acts and all of this malevolent behavior. And you're saying, oh, God did. There is none of that. You're supporting these men. Early church fathers, priests, deceivers, magicians, people who knew about chemistry, alchemy, and the world and how it operated before the masses knew about it. Take your ass back in time with your remote 200 years ago and sit there with your TV and turn it on and point it at the screen and turn the damn TV on. Somebody is going to be mind blown. They're going to be like, what the fuck? You turn the TV on with your hand? You got a screen? What is this television? What? It's broadcasting frequencies. They're going to be lost. They're going to think you're some type of God. So imagine what people knew back then that they didn't tell other people, and they took that advantage of these people, and we're not about to let this shit happen. Thus, there is no proof. I keep forgetting we live and this shit is recorded. Y'all gonna catch these sources. I'm gonna just not scroll too fast, but there it is. Boom. Thus, there is no proof Moses, if he existed, met a God. Instead, the list of facts reveals that Moses or the actual people who existed at the time migrated for whatever reason and either adopted a new belief system or felt more free to modify their faiths because of their new beginnings. They're going to a new land, so they're like, we're breaking off from other people that we were with. They don't see us. We can just add this to it. We could borrow some other people's customs. We can do some of the things that we weren't allowed to do before because we on our own. We took our show on the road. That's what people do. People still do that today. People leave other countries and come to America to go against their beliefs. They still hold on to some of them, but then they add some of that American, that westernized, ideology to it. However, killing in the name of a deity, I'm going to keep stressing this, was still deeply rooted in their psyche, along with inspiration for the magician practices and mythology they obviously picked up from the Egyptians. You can't deny these correlations, these parallels. You just can't deny it. You're not going to deny it from Sumer, not going to deny it from Egypt, not going to deny it from Greece. It's not going to happen. It's there and we see it. You can modify it, twist it all you want to. You did not have it before. This should not be surprising given the fact that these are humans who lived thousands of years ago, where humans from all hemispheres practice some form of superstition, some more extreme than others. A Moses figure and a supreme being only assist ancient man with escaping their faults. If there was a Moses, someone obviously killed him. That's what we can conclude from this, right? If there was a Moses, somebody killed him because they were headed to the promised land. He was in good health. He wasn't sick and none of that shit. He was there. And then somebody, and in the story, they say, stop. You see that land over there? Moses, you ain't going. That's what the story says that God said. And then his body disappears and the angels are fighting over his body. They were contending with each other about the body of Moses in the book of Jude. You know, that's part of the story. But if we want to make him a real person, we have to leave the God out of it and then relate to him because he's at least a human. And then the angels and the gods can kick ass. Let's just relate to him as a human being. Someone killed him. We're not going to blame a God. We don't need to blame an angel. Somebody killed him because people are the only real thing that we know of until something else shows up. And thousands of others who refused to submit. Okay, so if there was a Moses, someone obviously killed him, Aaron, and thousands of others who refused to submit. Not God. People are blaming God. The possibilities are not endless, but for beings that rarely make it past 85, the task has become tedious. Especially when the alleged deity involved in the entire ordeal is somewhere watching every generation pull their hair out, trying to unravel the mysteries behind the Abrahamic faith. If Moses and the divine are discarded, the picture becomes quite clear. Powerful men seek to be God. Check. A God needs people. Check. People need land. Duh. The people of the land need laws. Check. Fear of a higher power assists in enforcing laws. Yup. Reward for obedience sustains order. Who got kids? Most humans are natural born followers. That is scientifically proven. So this is why this shit works on people over and over and over. And we see it in our community. People just jump from one belief to the next. And that's where we're going to stop. We're going to stop right there. That was a good ending on that one. But yeah, this is what we see in our community. This same layout here, this blueprint is what people use. They know all of these things, especially your people who go to the theological school, people in seminary, or people who study theology, go to seminary. These people who even don't go to school and they just study people and see, they could be street people. They could be people just on the work. At work on your job, they know how people operate. People need someone to lead them. People need laws. You need people that makes you want to continue. If y'all were working during COVID, they was like, "Yo, we got $200 for you. We got $500 for you for showing up. You essential." And it's like, you know what? I ain't gonna quit. So a lot of people say, "Oh, the fuck out of here." They get a bag on you. It makes you stay there. So I'm gonna stop sharing. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up. And I'm gonna let you guys see the other chapters. It's the title of them. I'll let y'all look real quick.
Bro, you over here crushing it, bro.
Right. Good look for this too, man.
Yeah, man, no doubt. You always invited to come on over, man.
There y'all go. And I did say I was going to show y'all something else, the two charts. My bad. But here it is. Exordium is the introduction. Yearn. Do you want to know or do you or believe you know? Which one? Do you want to know or do you want to believe you know? Background check on God. Back to the Future, demigods, El and Allah on the horizon. So technically, I gave y'all 2 chapters just now. I forgot.
Damn.
I separated this chapter, so you guys got 2 chapters. A background check on Satan. Borrowed attributes between new and old deities, a background check on the covenants, Abram, the father of division, is belief dangerous? History says yes, and then the footnotes and references. And I'm gonna go down and let y'all see this chart real quick. Let y'all take a little peek at it. I think I need to change. Can I? The format is kind of weird. because it's all good. Wait, do I have this? Let me check and see if I have it saved. Do I have this shit somewhere else? Because I don't want that view like that. That view kind of looks annoying. Okay, yeah, I do have a better chart for y'all.
Hey, everybody, drop a like. Everybody, drop a like if you guys enjoyed this review of the book, man. This shit was interesting, man. Let me take my headphones off because I'm on TikTok and shit at the same time. Hang on.
Okay, can y'all see this? Y'all can still see it, right?
Yeah, you good.
Okay, so this is kind of, it's not formatted right because I had to do this so I could read it. But here I have the Hebrew Bible. I have the Egyptian literature. I have Babylonian literature. I have Akkadian literature. I have Persian literature, and I have Sumerian literature. Okay. And sometimes these people are they're the same people in history if you ever studied the Near Eastern stuff, but I still separated Persian and Akkadian because of the time period and the literature. You can kind of see that they were a different people, or at least had a different thought process when they're dealing with their mythology. And then over here, I have the Abrahamic parallels to all of these, and it's sectioned off for you. So you can read when the book comes out. You're going to see this over here. It says the I am, or the unseen divine revealed. That's in the book of Coming Forth by Day. It's on the chart, and then you can see it's the Egyptian literature. I have that right here, and you can just go get the book of Coming Forth by Day. You can go get Exodus 3:1 and see that's there, and boom, you got it parallel. And it just goes through this over and over and over. The creation account, forbidden food and death, inanimate objects turning to adamant objects, Moses sent down in a basket. You can see all of these things. I made a whole chart with this shit. And then also down here, after this long ass chart, I have the pre-biblical text with concepts and exact parallels. And this is extensive, like miles. This is we're talking about tablets. We're talking about tens of thousands of tablets that they found this shit on. And these people took the time out their life to translate the shit, to try to figure out how to translate it. And then when they found out what the fuck it said, I'm gonna stop sharing that. And they found out what it said, it blew their damn mind. Trying to look for a flood, and then they ended up finding a local flood, or they are looking for the origins or of the original Genesis, and they're finding that wait, there is no damn Genesis. There's no Genesis. There's somebody else's story that they didn't even call Genesis, and this somebody else took the shit later. So thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for supporting. That was my little treat to y'all. And
that shit was dope, bro. I enjoyed that shit, man. I'm gonna rewind the hell out of this shit. And I appreciate you coming over here, man, and breaking the ice with the book, man. I like that shit is dope. I'm ready for my whole copy. You guys, he put a lot of work into all that stuff, and the way he presented it, man, was pretty awesome, man. So shout out to Mo, man. Everybody, shout out to Mo. Give him a good follow, a subscribe, and support this brother. Everybody support each other, man. That's what it's all about, man. We ain't out here gang banging and shooting each other and thugging it like that in the streets. We actually got pens and paper and writing down, and we reading books and shit.
Word.
So put yourself. I just got kicked off. Did I get kicked off of TikTok? But yeah, we out here trying to do something positive. And Mo, I commend you, brother, for coming up here doing it. Let me put the link up here so everybody can see it again.
Indeed. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the support. Thanks for everybody that helped with the pre-orders. Hey, y'all get ready for this presentation that we about to do tomorrow as well. And I'm about to get another camera. I keep forgetting every time I'm at the store, I got to get another camera because this shit is like real fuzzy. But quality is definitely important. But yeah, thanks for sticking with us, man. And hey, look, that's nothing. This shit tomorrow is about to be wild.
That shit gonna be
wild, y'all.
Yo, I got books everywhere. We good. Family. I mean, I got a couple of slides. We're gonna recap on Augustus LaPlay Jones. So y'all motherfuckers better show up tomorrow and show us some support. Definitely show us some support, man. Shit. Where's Sudan at, man? Sudan, you around, man? You come on up. Are we what was I about to say? We can what time we doing it tomorrow?
That's what we got to talk about.
Shit. Sudan, where you at, man?
Pop out.
He just was on live on TikTok. I was in there with him. But yeah, man, shout out to fucking Mo.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 4-part series, y'all. This is the first book, and my outline is because I didn't want to do like damn near 2,000 pages in one book, so I just separated it all. It's gonna be 4 books.
Yeah. Sudan, I'm about to drop the link real quick, fam. Hold up, real quick. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna close this out because I gotta make this all for Mo right now. I'm gonna close this out because this was for Mo, and then I'm gonna open up the live again, and y'all follow me, and then we're gonna open up links again. That way,
you about to reset?
Yeah, it'd be two separate joints. That way, you got this joint. If you want to share it, this will be your whole joint to yourself. All right, family. So I'm gonna put the link into the new live. Everybody stay tuned. Don't go no motherfucking where. Shout out to my man Mo. He gonna hang around. We're gonna have an after party, after chat on the live. Okay, so go ahead and like this joint and stay around because I'm gonna come right back at y'all. I'm gonna come right back at y'all. All right. So
peace, y'all. We'll be right back.
Peace, y'all. I'm gonna close out. We're gonna come right back. All right, fam.